Hello and welcome to the fan cams after the Blues get dominated, go down by 52 points, 9 goals, 11, 65, 17 goals, 15, 117, a 52-point margin. It's been a while. Haven't seen a loss like that in a very long time. And so I'm sure a lot's going to come up from that. If you're new to the fan cams, welcome. This is where we share our thoughts. If you'd like to call in, you're most welcome to. The way in which you call in is you hit the link. The link is about to go in the chat right now. It's in there. Hit the link. You go into a waiting room. There's a lot of people waiting already. So something tells me this is going to be a long, long session. But we'll get through everybody and we'll go from there. Oh, boy. Pommy.
Oh, dear.
Oh, shit.
There's nothing. There's nothing like that taste, is there? There's nothing like that taste. Do you know what I mean? In the water words of Stained, it's been a while, hasn't it?
It's been a long time.
I mean, everything that went wrong could go wrong, did go wrong, did it? I think tactically we were poor. Matchup wise, we were poor. Apart from the first quarter, I think we got it wrong. And let's be honest, we got knocked out by a far superior side. And Voss likes to use the learning word, doesn't he? He learned a lot tonight, and I don't think any of it was good. Basics left us, didn't they? Fumbly, marks, entries inside 50. They worked out our clearance game in about 12 minutes. And unfortunately, do you know what I mean? You get dealt a lesson. You got dealt a lesson, and now the boys are going to copy it, aren't they? They're going to copy it. That's going to be a big ironing out in the media. And rightly so. It wasn't a good performance. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think many players leave the ground today and can look themselves in the mirror and go, I executed to the best of my abilities.
Yeah. You could, I mean, the fumbled marks, the missed tackles, just start there for a moment. Says a little bit about
mate, some of them, I mean, honestly, some of them tackle efforts, do you know what I mean, are the intensity of which my son eats broccoli. You know what I mean? And unfortunately for my son, we have a dog, do you know what I mean, that will eat the broccoli because it's an idiot. We didn't have a dog to eat it tonight. That dog is unfortunately injured, isn't he? And that is Lockie Fogarty. It's hard to go with that because,
yeah,
like the preview. Anyone who watched my preview, the numbers were very damning. And I text Terry before the game about Marchbank and said TPI didn't like that in, and you saw why teams fall for the trap of going taller against this mob. And even though it looks a good idea in paper, it's probably structural suicide. And you saw that because the ground ball game this week, fuck me, like there hasn't been a ground ball game that bad since Diana started that petition to clean minefields up in Africa. How bad that was. That ground ball game, fuck me. I'd rather roll around in a minefield than watch that, to be honest.
Yeah. It got, I mean, that third quarter in particular, just, I mean, danger signs were there before the third quarter, but you get to halftime, you're holding on, you think, okay, maybe they can find something. To be fair, they've done it for a long time. And then one after the other, it was deja vu. I don't remember a belting like that.
Well, I mean, you saw it, didn't you? I mean, you know what worries me? One of the worrying little traits with Carlton is when it doesn't work out the back half of the ground, they kind of get stuck. And it's almost like the energy leaves the team when that back half's not moving and it goes deep down. You know, the one that kills me is the deep exit kick down the wing and we're kicking to a one-on-one. Do you know what I mean? It's not set up It's not set up, like where, last week when it looked really good, there's 4 of our big guys together with each other. It feels like it's a kick to hope. And, time and time again in that back half of the ground as well, like Chad Warner, it wasn't so much people weren't on him. They were being drawn to other things. Like Kennedy was on him in the second. 2 times Kennedy goes for the ball and he just floats. Chad Warner's like this, just ghosting away. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you're at school, well, people with pet kids will know this analogy. But when you're at school, when the teacher explaining something to you and you can see your wife has that look, she's about to explode. So you start backing away slowly, hoping that no one thinks you're together. When she banshee screams. That's what Chad Warner did all game. And Carlton players just getting stuck and sucked into contests and sucked into little biffs and stuff. That was really an execution of basics. And I think Voss got it wrong. I think the players got it wrong. I think that is really a Collingwood game that if you go back and you watch it again, I think probably 2 selections didn't happen. And I think the matchups would have been totally different. But you know what? Hindsight's a fucking fantastic thing, isn't it?
Yeah. The broken tackles, that's a mindset. I mean, I did not go into that game thinking about injuries at all. I know there was a big topic all week. The guys that were out there tonight, the way in which our tackles were broken with ease, I mean, that's not us. That's not us. They've fallen away.
Missing ingredient. I think it comes from deep within, but I mean, they didn't go about that game in the attitude of a side that I would say are conducive with the top 8. And I know people can say injuries and things like that, but I mean, you've also got to remember that they are professional footballers. Tackles, basics. True. If we're talking about breaking the game open like Petrarca, okay, cool, yeah, injuries, I'll count. But we're talking raw fundamentals that if I went down to see Melton play tomorrow afternoon, I expect to see them executed. Do you know what I mean? And they're tradies. Do you know what I mean? Who are 4 beers deep and probably 2 pingers deep. Do you know what I mean? Playing the game. These are professional athletes, man. These are professional athletes being paid a lot of money to execute the basics. And he wasn't good, man. He wasn't good. And you know what? Part of me says it's early, 3 months of the season. It's good to get it out of the way and be taught where you really are. But that is something the boys are going to have to really execute on, because we see it enough. 20% of the time in games, we don't see it. And when it goes wrong, it goes wrong. Do you know what I mean? And tonight we got found out by an incredibly efficient side that executes every basic fundamental and then more. And that was poor tonight. Poor.
No question. Man, that ball was pinging back and forth like a tennis ball. I don't know what it looked like for those of you who were at the game. If you're watching, you may or may not be, but from the way I was watching it here at home, it was so quick the way that ball was moving.
Mate, they move with purpose and we move for the sake.
Yeah.
If you watch them, they make, like, there was countless times off the halfback. We said it on the watch along. They'd do the first kick. There was an easy option out wide or an uncontested, and we couldn't help ourselves kick to a contest. Where you watch them, they go backwards. How many times did you see them get halfway, go backwards, and then get the inside-out handball and then go? Nick Blakey reminded me of, when an old woman coughed during COVID? People just fucking avoided him. Like, I don't know if he's got protein farts, but fucking no one was near him, were they? I mean, Jesus, they call him the lizard. They should call him the fucking ghost.
Yeah.
Right. Honestly, don't know if they were watching a flat Earth documentary and it's confused them, but that was poor. I'm not going to sex it up. That was shite.
Yeah, that was terrible. So it's got to get on with it, I guess. Does this dent your confidence for the season?
No, because you know what? I might differ from other people, but I've seen a lot of shit. You know what I mean? I've seen a lot of shit from these boys. I've seen them dish up worse, and I'll see them dish up worse again in the future. And I'm not naive. And I think if anyone is naive, fuck me, support someone else. Carlton take you through the ringer. But you look at Essendon, last year, and what they did. And trust me, that Essendon game was, I debate if they were my kids in the backyard halfway through Essendon last year. So they can fix it. Some of these players come back. So if it is injuries, you'll find out next week because 3 of them come back. But it's how you respond. Everything's good when you're winning.
Yeah.
It's how you respond. And they responded after Collingwood against Melbourne, a very good team. Got to spawn next week because you know what? Perfect game for the Blues. Gold Coast, their tails are wagging and ours need licking. Do you know what I mean? We need to lick our tail. So next week it's going to be an ultimate test because it's confidence versus them. So it's going to be an interesting week. And I really hope to see Vossi this week explain something because honestly, the team selection worried me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we bought into the stereotype and we got found out. That was, for me, that back line. Even take Wheatering out of it. This was not the game to do that.
Fair. Well, move on we shall. Thanks for the watch along.
Mate, don't thank me for the watch along. It's a pleasure. I mean, like I said to everyone, I'd just be sat in a room shouting on my own. So to have friends to shout with, it makes it a pleasure. Do you know what I mean? I'll see you all in the ratings. I'm going to go into the bath now and cry and maybe create a burner and start commenting international fake station. I think that might be my evening.
Well, enjoy, brother. Take care.
Peace, love, light, everyone.
See you, mate. Andy.
Bro.
We're back.
The Blues are back.
We're back.
Bro, I'm with our good friend Morris as well. We're just watching the game.
Hello,
Bro.
mate. How are you?
Hey, mate. I was just listening to you and Pommy go back and forth as well, and I agree with everything you guys said. Broken tackles, bro. Like, unforgivable.
Yeah.
And you called it mindset. That's 100% mindset.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the story for me. Like,
they do it. We've seen them bring the mindset for so long now, so it's so clear why it's not there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not mindset, Terry.
What is it?
Hunger.
Well, yeah, desire, hunger, yeah.
And unfortunately, all right, it's only round 10. It's a long season, injuries, but you know what? You got to look at it. There's players that are got to put their hand up. Do I want a spot in the side? You got these injured players that are going to come back into the side, right? Who's going out? Play well and you don't, yeah? And unfortunately tonight, you know what? The old cliche, we're cooked.
No, I disagree.
We looked slow and lazy. It looked like our legs weighed 100 kilos. Like they couldn't get there was no spring. And I'm not going to have people talk negative about Voss and his game plan because his game plan stacked up in the first quarter. That was the players that broke that game plan. Yeah, Sydney's a good side. They're always going to come. But how do you just stop?
See, I disagree with Morris when he said we're cooked. I don't think we're cooked. I think we got a shitload of upside. And I think we just need to temper our emotions right now and just chill. It's a horrible game.
Yeah.
Horrible game. But bro, injuries. We've got a lot of upside. So many players had a really rough night. So
maybe I mean I haven't looked at it properly. I reckon when we review the game properly, there might be 4 guys that you look at and you're like, you know what, you get a tick today.
Yeah, I agree. I think like this. Yeah, I reckon 4 is a good number too. I reckon that's a pretty high number.
Might be generous.
Yeah, I think you've been. I mean, look again. In a few days when we look back, yeah, you're probably right. But man, I think people need to chill. Just relax. It was a bad game. Absolutely, acknowledge it for what it was.
Yeah.
If we come out against Gold Coast next week and play horrible again, okay, then we've got issues.
Yeah.
But we played the best team in the comp at the worst ground in the comp, and
Yeah, but you lost by 10. But you lost by 9 goals after giving away a 5-goal head start.
yeah, but you're playing against the best side.
Oh, okay, so
you just
okay. If we're playing against the best side
we're going to argue like this all
for
night,
the
by
rest
way.
of the year, don't label us as a top side because
Yeah, but that's external.
no,
That's external.
no, but because if we're one of the main contenders, then we've all said that we're good enough to beat anybody.
We are.
All right. The way we've been playing tonight, we're a bottom 6 side.
Okay, but that's
The way, and even lately,
we're hijacking.
no,
Terry's show.
I know we're
Sorry, bro.
sorry, bro.
Mate, this is.
But even like next week, right? And I'm not being negative because, mate, it's probably the first time I've spoken like this about us all year. All right, I've always held the faith. If we come out and smash Gold Coast next week, right? If you watched last night's game, in the last quarter, both Geelong and Gold Coast, they were shot. They were cramping for like 2 minutes each. So don't come. We beat Gold Coast here. Hey, you know what? We're back, and then the week after or whatever, you look at it. Oh, we got to buy after Gold Coast, don't we? Same thing. Yeah, we got to get some continuity into it. And
I was going to say, do you think what you saw tonight is going to be the way that they continue to play, or do you think this is a bit of an aberration?
No, they're not going to. They won't continue to play only because you've got Saad to come back into the side. Boggedy comes back into the side. Chera, hopefully Jack Martin, Motlop. You know, it's like 5 big inclusions. But then you ask yourself, who comes out for them 5? Okay.
Yeah, well, you got Durden, you got Fantasia, you got probably Cunningham. Cunningham got dropped, yeah? I don't think Cunningham.
He's injured.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, so you got 5 to come in that are undisputable to come in, correct? 5 have to go out. At the moment, you could take 10 out. But what I'm saying is, if there's no hunger in saying, hey, my spot's on the line, I'm going to bust my hump.
Yeah.
Mm. It's going to be a long night, Terry, in this house, mate. It's going to get long, yeah. Because I'm positive, bro. I think it's an aberration. I don't think this is Carlton, right? I don't think this is, and I think the boys have earned a ticket to say, you know what, that's a one-off, and we can kind of let it go. Again, if they come out and they do it again in the next month or so, all right, you worry a bit. But until
are we a top 4 side
tonight? No, but in general, yes.
So
absolutely,
we're going to make top 4 this year.
I'm still confident that the 4 is it's in our hands. Yeah,
because if we don't, we've gone backwards.
Well, I don't know, man. I'm still confident. I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I still think we're good. It's all about how we rebound next week, Terry.
Mate, amen. Amen. We need Saad back tomorrow.
Yesterday.
And I don't think Weeders will play. That's about his 4th knock that he's copped on that corky.
Yeah.
And he's been managing it, and I think it's just getting the better. I think you just got to give him that week.
Well, you got the buy, so we'll see.
We'll see. Well, lads, thanks so much for calling in. Fingers
Sorry,
crossed,
bro.
Fingers crossed that doesn't continue, but we'll see what happens.
No, brother.
Good night, Terry.
Hey, boys.
Cheers, mate.
Sam.
How you going, Terry?
Mate, I've been better.
Yeah, us both, mate. Yeah, look, I felt like after Weeders came off, I reckon that's when the momentum shifted a little bit, in my opinion. It's such a big injury list, man. It's hard to come back. A lot of these new boys coming in. I feel like with the full side, man, we got a bit of hope. But it's a bit of a hard one.
It was hard. I mean, yeah, Wiedering goes off. To be honest, I didn't feel like our defenders, the back six, were hurting us as much as what our midfield was. I thought the way in which I think the first 7, I think it was 7-0 from the center in the third quarter. And then the way in which the Swans got it from the center, bounced straight into their forward line. I mean, they were elite, the Swans. I mean, our pressure wasn't great, but the Swans were so efficient. And exactly what you feared that they might have been tonight, they were exactly that, and then some.
Yeah. There was a point at stage where I was just coming out of the bounce, just straight into the forward. It was just boys didn't know what to do by the looks of it. It was just a bloodbath, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen them go into the shoals like that, pretty much since they turned it around last year. That's the first time I've seen us, fall into that again.
Yeah.
So
hopefully we get some of the boys back next week, a few more in, and we'll see how we go, man. We always have hope, Keep behind the boys, There's seen a bit of a negativity in the comments, and people, are that passionate. I can understand that, and but just got to get behind them and keep going. That's just tails between the legs at the moment. Let's give them a pat on the back.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give full credit to the Swans first.
Yeah, that's exactly right, mate. That's exactly right.
Move on. You've got to get to Marvel next week and turn it around. You can't let that become a trend. So
yeah, no, exactly. Well, I'll keep it short and sweet, mate. But first time on and loving what you guys are doing, man. Keep it up.
Thank you, mate. Go Blues.
Cheers, mate.
Joel.
Terry, can you hear me?
Yeah, mate.
You can hear me. Good. Look, we're up shit creek, mate. I told you during the week it's panic stations, and it certainly is. Do you think that, or what do you think?
No, I don't think it's panic stations. But if you think it's panic stations, then mate, that's fair. I can see why you would see it. I mean, I'm not ready to panic just yet.
We're far from a good team. So many holes. Yes, we have injuries, but we don't have depth. We don't have speed. We don't have intelligent footballers. We don't have enough leaders on the field. I question our coach. So my question to you is, sorry, Terry. No. I mean, look. So what? I mean, you were confident going into the game, and I just wanted what made you confident about this team?
Well, they haven't given me a reason. They hadn't given me a reason to think they wouldn't give it a crack tonight.
Well, I've come on this channel numerous times, and I've sort of given some of my feelings, and it's clearly, I think people can now sort of start to see what I've been getting at for the last sort of 6 weeks.
What would you?
I
have a question for you.
Yeah.
I have a question. What would you have done differently this week in terms of selection and where we got it wrong tactically? What did you think we should have done?
I mean, look, in terms of, I knew we were going to, I mean, I'll preface that by saying, look, I was expecting a loss. It was sort of an unavoidable loss, really. Yeah, it was right. With the team that we fielded, yeah. I mean, so what have I done differently? Well, I mean, not a lot, because we didn't have many magnets to shift around. In terms of, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we tried Kerno back, and I mean, our forwards, we just don't have we don't have any small forwards. I've been banging on that for months. And I mean, we play dirt, and who would we play instead? I mean, the thing I was just thinking before I came on would we play someone who's so raw like Moya or someone like that? It couldn't do much worse.
Do you think that exposing Moya to a game like that would be the better move?
No, not tonight, but maybe next week I would think about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, that's, what would have I done differently in terms of the team? Look, as I said, we just don't have the cattle. And so it's sort of a train wreck waiting to happen already. Is that kind of an answer that is sort of, I don't know. Yeah.
Do I think that this is a train wreck now and the season's going to be over?
No, I'm saying that. The question you asked me, it's sort of it was an unavoidable loss. I mean, especially you lose your best player on the ground at halftime, Wiedering, so it adds to the insult to injury. So we were up against it. We were up against it from the first bounce. And so what I don't know. So I turn the question back to you. What could have we done differently? Do you think? I don't know. Tackle. Yeah. I mean, just effort. Maybe effort was. I would question their effort.
I would definitely question their effort tonight. I think 5 tackles in the first quarter. I think the broken tackles, the fumbled marks, the slipping over, the way that the Swans danced around us. I mean, it reminded me of 2021 against North Melbourne. Do you remember when they were just walking goals in?
Yeah.
So for me, that I look at that game and I think, was there a lack of belief in the group going into the game? They started well when the game was on their terms, then the game wasn't on their terms, and as soon as that happened, there was there wasn't really a significant fight back, particularly on the scoreboard. So I just think it's a poor game, and hopefully it doesn't become a trend. And you got to respond next week. There's still more than half a season to go. So I don't think tonight defines the entire year. But
I mean, look, we need some speed injected. We need to recruit some players with some speed.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, have you
playing the Swans?
Where do we find them? Where are they?
Well, that goes back. That opens another can of worms with their recruiting, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Can we win next week, or is it that's it? It's done.
The Suns played pretty well last week, so I'd say no, another loss. What I say, Swans played. Was it what day are we now? Friday. Last night they smashed up Geelong. So coming off that result, no, you have to say they're favourites.
Yeah.
Where has it been played, Marvel?
We play at Marvel next week.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. No. It's frustrating, Terry. It's very frustrating. I don't like being on here. And
it can't be frustrating because you knew the result, so you can't be frustrated. You knew it would happen.
No. I entered the season with a bit more hope, but it's anyway. It is what it is. All right. Well, have a good night.
You too.
Cheers,
Go
mate.
Blues. Yeah. Danny.
Oh, you have me on. Mate. Oh. How are you, Tez?
Mate, I'm ticking along. Going all right. How are you? What do you think of the game?
I'm good. Game, all right. I'll be very honest, right? It was a shit game. It was obviously what we watched, but all's not lost. Like, we played the best team in the comp in their own backyard. You saw what happened to Geelong yesterday, like last night. Like, let's just calm the Jets down. Half of our team's injured, right? And I'll probably be mad. You've seen me. I've been losing my shit when we lose like that. All's not lost. If anything, I just saw Cripps' interview on the TV. Abby Holmes just interviewed him, and he was saying that we have to take our learnings from this loss. Yes, it was like this is the benchmark that we have to obviously associate with and just learn from there. So it's a big learning curve. It's their stadium. They play there. And yeah, they just know the conditions, like how Suns smashed Geelong. Like, we had big outs as well. We lost Wiedering at halftime. With the corky, I think Cripps just mentioned that he had a corky, so which is not the worst. Lockie Fogarty is in, Saad is in, and now you see, because my frustration, Tez, was why so many of our tackles are being broken right now.
Yeah.
Like
that's the
that's
most alarming part of. I mean, that is the most disappointing part. The mentality of the group tonight, because defensive pressure is a mentality, and that's something we've been able to really bring for a long time now. So that was not there anywhere near to the level that it needed to be tonight.
And you know what? This has been a pattern, Tez. Like, see, I'm being positive because yes, in their own backyard. But what are the learnings? Like the first learning that I feel that we have to take is broken tackles. Like, I understand that they're fast. I understand it, but as you said, it's a mindset. So you can't be going in. Since the Collingwood game, Tez, you've seen how bad we are at tackling. We lost that game because we didn't lay as many tackles and the pressure was up. And you saw today as well, we were found out when their pressure was up. We had the ball. It was like deja vu Collingwood game, where we just had the ball and we didn't know what to do with it because they were so high up and pressing us high up as well. I feel, see, the thing is that broken tackles is what worries me. And the other thing is that you can't, like, see, I understand that Wiedering was down and stuff, but you can't be having Charlie down there when you're losing by 30 odd points. Like, you can't. Like, I understand you got to stop the bleeding, you got to stop the scoring, but he's your main player. Like, you can't be having him down there. So it was, I feel like on the feet thinking or on the feet coaching was a bit off today. And I feel obviously not having our best player, like he marshals the troops, like he's the leader, Wiedering at the back end. And then again, Durden was so frustrating. I don't want to pick on anyone, but Durden was so frustrating. Like the tackles that he laid, he did. I'm actually, I don't know what the stats are, but I really want to see how many tackles he laid.
1.
There you go. Come on, like you got to be better than that. Like I'm not picking on anyone. Like, you know, it's just a team game, it's a team sport, but you can't be just laying one tackle. And if you see like what happened in the first quarter or why we played so well, it was a turnover game first. We were quick with the ball. We were quick with on our feet, and we just went bang, bang, bang. And the same thing happened with them. So they were taken aback because we were playing fast, and then they adopted. They tagged Walsh. I think Walsh only had like 21 disposals today, 2021.
Yeah, 20 touches.
And you know, Walsh
and I reckon
is.
his opponent. Well, I reckon the whole midfield let the Sydney midfield have way too much space. I mean, the goals that the Swans kick from their midfield tonight, I haven't counted it yet. Without even looking, I feel like it's at least 7, maybe 8.
I get the speed. Like, you know how at one point, literally, they were just taking the piss, like just running in like literally from the stoppage, they were just literally running down the forward 50. And I'm laughing because, well, what can you do? Like, you know, it's just one of those games. We've lost a lot of close ones, but I feel just my takeaways from the game is tackle and pressure. That is something that we need to bring to the table. That is something is lacking, and obviously, just movement from the back half. I think obviously Saad is a big element of that, and just Fogarty just locking the ball inside the forward 50. I think we need that pressure that Lockie Fogarty brings so that we can lock the ball inside our forward 40 and don't allow these kind of turnovers that end up happening all the time. So I feel when we get those players back, all's not lost. See, the thing is strength and conditioning. It is what it is with Andrew Russell. I actually was at Carlton last year. I used to work for Icon, and he actually gave us a lecture. It was a leadership conference, and we spoke about the 2022 debacle of what happened there. He spoke really positively, and at the time, I feel like, you know, having such a high profile strength and conditioning coach, it is some of kind of like the repeat offenders test that we keep seeing, like Cunners, Martin. You can see that Marchbank has obviously had his rough end of injuries as well, but they're just repeat offenders, which, like, you know, at the end of the day, let's just not blame anyone. Let's just not ask for any heads. Let's just keep a calm head, because I feel Geelong lost yesterday at kind of not Suns' home ground, but you know what I mean. Like, it's kind of a fortress for them, the Teo Stadium. You lost this game. Good learning. Take your learnings from there. We get our men back and then just attack again. Just review this game, but don't go in that much debt that it's just like, oh, well, we just got flogged, which we kind of did. But then just take the learnings from there and just move on. We have had a fair stretch. Like, these were 5 games that we had against the tougher teams. Started from GWH and ending with Sydney today. We are 2-3. Lost a couple of close games, but let's just go from there. And then hopefully, like from here on, our draw is much easier, and we are getting our players back. So we can still make the top 4. Let's not just think that our season's finished. Let's not overreact, I feel. What do you think?
Well, I think it's fair and reasonable. I'm impressed. I'm happy to see some fair and reasonable commentary after a bad loss. I think we'll be okay, but I am concerned with that lack of intensity tonight and how that dropped off so quickly. So, we'll see how they respond.
It's just the intent that you said, Tez, and I feel like they just need to up the pressure. Yes, some players are missing, but it's, as you said, it's all intent, and I hope that they can bring it back next week. I'll be there, so hopefully.
Awesome. Thanks, Danny.
Cheers, mate.
See you, mate. The Booze Hound with the $5 says Charlie has the worst second effort in the comp, gets paid enough to do more than attempt a mark and watch the ball roll away. And then he says they look slow, defeated, and uninterested with so many outs. There is no fear of being dropped. Redemption presents itself every week. Sort it out. Yeah. Vic Wide Renovations says right now, dirt are not good enough. Oh, Holland's Fantasia. They are just not turning their form around. Maybe we need some in the VFL. Yeah, there's not many left if they're playing in the VFL. That's the issue, I think. All right, who we got? Jeff.
G'day, Terry. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. How you doing?
Pretty good. Sorry, I'm just in the cafe. I'll run outside. Yeah, look, long-time Blues fan. Enjoy your show. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Sydney traditionally is not a good hunting ground for us. Never has been. I did have my doubts going up there, but look, today, 7 tackles inside 50, fragmented team, injuries, players playing away. There's a lot of things wrong, but hey, look, it's a great learning curve, and teams will go through all this, and it's hard to settle a team down when you've got so many changes every week, and you can't get to play as a unit, and the panic sets in. It looked like Sydney were running around blue cones in the third quarter. I don't know how we can fix it, but I think we just hang in there. They're all professionals. They'll get through it. Hopefully we don't get too many more injuries. It is hurting us, and we need to settle the side down and move forward. But look, it happened last year. Look at Geelong. They're copping a hiding now. This is the way football is. And I think it's a great lesson for us to have this time of the season, right, going into the second half, with our players coming back, Fogg and Co. And geez, did we miss Cottrell or what?
Yeah.
But we'll be okay. We'll be okay. We're a good side, and it's a great lesson.
You get taught the lessons by the best teams. I mean, this 5-week stretch that we've just played, Giants, Geelong, Collingwood, Melbourne.
Let's look at it again. You've got Sydney peaking now, right? They may not be peaking in the latter part of the year coming towards finals. They may have injuries. So it's the luck of the draw, but at least we've got the cattle, and we'll be okay. We'll be okay. Yeah. Hang in there. And we're going to be in the finals. We're going to be around the finals anyway. So look what happened last year. We could have gone all the way. But thanks a lot, everyone. Really enjoy your show. I'm in northeast Thailand at the moment at our cafe.
Oh, wow.
And enjoy. Yeah, I saw you were over there, mate, in Phetchabun. I love that area.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in Con Ken. You would have known Con Ken. We're about 2.5 hours east of Phetchabun. So,
fantastic.
Love
I'll
the
be
footy.
back at the end of the year, so we might have to catch up for a beer.
Yeah, Marina Cafe, mate, in Con Ken.
How good. Thanks so much for calling in.
Cheers, everyone, and thanks, Terry. Great job, you and Pommy. Love it.
See you, mate.
Take care.
How good was his internet for Thailand? That's brilliant. Vaz.
Mate, how are you?
I'm good, mate.
The turf, my friend, the turf, hey?
It's the turf.
Turfspiracy, jump on board. Look, it's it was disappointing. I actually said to my old man this morning, I said, I think it's either going to be a tight one, or I think they'll just blow us away in a patch. And it turned out to be obviously the latter. But I mean, it's all the stat. I think got 17 players that have played every game. I mean, that's continuity. You know, you rock up to any job and you've got 8 to 10 of your best not there. It's going to be tough to go on, but that's not an excuse. I just think everyone just pump the brakes a little. You know, the people actually, the last couple on here have been real good.
I actually think the whole show so far, to be honest with you, I expected to be yelled at tonight. It hasn't happened yet. Maybe it still will.
Yeah, I reckon that's got a lot to do with we kind of all knew the game was over.
Yeah.
Probably at 3/4 time, so everyone's probably done their, mourning, as you will, or whatever before coming on here. Like if you lose it on the siren, you're probably more ready to go. Which I think that's a good lesson for everyone. Like normalize taking a breath for about 30 minutes before, just going stupid with the way you speak. Because you can see that with the comments on the watch along and on Twitter and all that. The comments in the heat of the moment versus comments after you've done your, okay, well, this one's gone, are very, very different. And I think, we as supporters just need to normalise a little bit of, okay, Corey Durden wasn't great. But you know what? Like, why are we picking on the same names every single week? Orazio, all that. I've seen people say Pitnett, again, didn't work. I'm like, I thought he was our best ruckman on the night. So I think we've got to kind of normalise not finding someone to blame and just kind of being like, okay, as a collective, I think Pommy said it right. This game was probably put to the sword very early on when selections and all that happened. But that's fine. It is what it is. I feel comfortable, to be honest. I actually feel really, really comfortable with where the season's at, where it's going. I did make a post about one of the concerning things for me that's a bit of a trend at the moment is we are conceding big scores.
Yeah.
And, conceding anything over 80 points regularly is a concern for me. 10 rounds in, you can fix that. But you compare that to the top teams, they're not conceding those scores. Even Sydney tonight, yes, they batted, but they still kept us under 70 points. And I think that's the next evolution for our team. Yeah, we know we can kick a score, but we need to start dogfighting wins like we did the back end of last year in the finals and stuff. Dogfighting wins rather than getting in these shootouts, because you saw tonight, you get in a shootout with the wrong team, we're in trouble. So that's the only concern for me. That just the amount we're conceding, but I sit very comfortable. 6-4. I genuinely believe we'll be 7-4 next week. And after round 11, when you're 7-4, that's kind of where you want to be.
Yeah, lots of improvement to come. Get some more guys back, and I think the main thing is, when they get back in the side, you said it earlier, the Swans have had 17 players play every game this season. Like that's ridiculous. I dream of that for us. So we got to get our boys back in, and we got to get them staying in the side, which is hard to do because it's a brutal sport.
Oh, absolutely. It is a brutal sport. And that's why I want everyone to timestamp this. It's not really a Carlton comment. It's Sydney will not win the grand final this year. I'm telling you that right now. They will not win the grand final this year for the exact reason that you just said. It is a brutal sport. They aren't going to have 17 players play every game for the whole season. They have proven time and time again that, even that first quarter showed, if you can put that pressure on going inside 50, they're vulnerable. Sydney will not win the grand final. So timestamp that, everyone. Yes, they beat us by 52 points, but our improvement to come is that much better. Like, that was Sydney's best. They're not getting any better. That's the benchmark. And yeah, we're 52 points off the benchmark. That's fine. But we know we can get better. They're not getting any better. Sydney are only going to either stay the same or get worse. So I looked at that tonight. I walked away saying, okay, well, that's one I can tick off. Aren't going to win the flag. Definitely not. Because You cannot be at your best in May. You can't. And they are. And good luck to them. But they will not win the flag.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Isn't it wild that the only team they've lost to is Richmond?
Yeah.
Makes sense of that.
Yeah. Look, that just proves you get them, on your day at the MCG. Anything's possible. And you look at the losses, they'll rue that. Sydney supporters will rue that loss at some point. Maybe they won't. I don't know. But for us, like I look at it, and if you told me we were going to lose to Geelong and Collingwood and Sydney, like okay, to me it's the Adelaide loss it stings. And I know you've got to get over those things, but you think we were 16 points up. That's the one that really stings. The others, you're like, yeah, okay, it is what it is. I'm very confident if we were to play Geelong next week, we'd batter them. Well, maybe not next week. Get a few players back, please. But I'm very confident we will beat them when we play them again in a few weeks' time. Collingwood. They'll just keep doing their thing. But Sydney, fair credit to them. They are playing probably the best football I've seen for a long time. But they're not going to. You can't sustain the way they play. You just can't for the season. You've got to. They're going to have their dip, and when it happens. I don't have any Sydney supporting friends, so I could care less. But when it happens, for their sake, hopefully it doesn't happen in September, but I think it will. I just think they will fall away at some point.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed. We'll get through tonight. We'll get through the review, and hopefully your Hammers get the job done this weekend as well.
Yeah, the Hammers representing. Yeah. Absolutely. So I don't subscribe to the fact of people, don't win, so Arsenal don't win. I subscribe to the fact is I'll tell my grandchildren the day we stopped Manchester City winning the league. So that's the fact I subscribe to. So I'm definitely on board the Hammers train for sure.
Amazing. Faz, thanks for calling in, mate. Talk soon.
Love your work. Turfspiracy.
We're going to look into it. Tolls.
How are we doing? Better?
It's
better than earlier?
Oh, I think Faz said it pretty well. I mean, I think we all knew we were losing that game from some point in the third quarter. Yeah. So you've had about 90 minutes to, brace for it. Yeah. That one reminded me, the way they were dancing around us at the end reminded me of Nick Larkey kicking 7 at Marvel 2021. I was just walking it through.
Yeah. Where were we this time last year though?
We were in a hole.
Yeah. I just looked at it. We were 4-1-5 last year. We're 6-4. And we've won, we're not at the same place we were last year, simply put. Yeah. And seriously, games like these, we just stick that up on the whiteboard because that's where we need to be by either finals this year or this time next year, pretty much.
That's the
or
level.
This time the year after.
They showed us. I think we've taken something away from all of the previous 5 games, like the top teams. I think I saw a stat: Sydney 17 bounces to our none. I don't know if we are going to start developing a running game like that, but they ran us like off the park, and they played the ground so well, and we did not adjust to that at all.
Exactly, like they were, one bounce kick goal from the center square, and that's like there's no ground there's no ground in Victoria that is the same as that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just is what it is. It's the best team in the comp at their fortress, and these games happen pretty much. But
they do.
Now, we have to look at where do we go from here exactly? Because if this was last year, this is the game that sends us into a 10-game hole of losses.
Mm.
But yeah, just like last year, we have a game where we turn around. Who are we playing next week?
Got the Suns at Marvel.
Exactly. Suns at Marvel. That's where it all started last year. I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm a prophet, but if there was going to be a game that lets us turn around, then that's it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, even if we're not there this year, like, we have a lot to change. Like, this year is that, yeah, we have a lot to work on. And even if we don't get there this year, we have a young side. We have a coach that's still developing trust within the club. We've had a sniff at finals footy, and we've been contenders pretty much all year so far. We need just a few seasons where each game our opponents say our name with respect, and we can go into every game thinking we could win this. We can win this. We're just every game we go into, no matter who we're playing, we're a shot to win. And we can, if we execute our game plan, we will win. And just a few games of that, few good finals runs, we'll be there.
Yeah, we are definitely at the very beginning of being, in contention. So,
I mean, yeah,
a lot of these teams that we've played have been there for 3 to 5 years. So,
exactly.
I just hope. Yep. Sorry.
This isn't a miracle. This isn't like Dogs 2016 or the Pies miracle turnaround. This is the start of a slow dynasty, of a slow development dynasty. This isn't a magical fairy tale.
No, you're right. You're right. No, I like your
fuck. I've waited my whole life for this. I can wait a few more years. That's it.
Very good. Tolls, thank you very much, mate.
Thank you. See you next week. See you next week.
Hey, Aaron. Welcome to membership. Thank you very much. Costas Luras with the $5 says top 4 will be a dogfight, as there is a few teams challenging this year, and we are worried because just making the 8 is where we sit right now, worrying. Yeah, right now doesn't look great, but still a lot of footy to play. Okay, who's next? Joe.
Oh, shit.
You with us?
Yeah, far out. Sorry, I fell asleep. All right, I'm here.
Amazing. How are you, mate?
Yeah, sorry, I got little to no sleep last night, and I was trying to stay up all day. But yeah, no, I don't know. Don't really know what to make of it, to be honest. I think, look, I'm willing to be, proven wrong here, but I've been seeing plenty of mistakes ever since the game against Adelaide, really. Kicking to uneven contests where the opposition just, completely dominates us. They crumb the stoppage or crumb the contest, and then Sydney did tonight. We were rushed with our kicks, kick the ball to an uneven contest, they crumb the stoppage, kick it to their forwards, get it through the midfield, kick a goal. And yeah, just was like that the whole night.
Yeah, that laser sharp focus that we saw them have, last week against the D's, that nowhere to be seen. The game was definitely on our terms early on. It was, I guess, pretty positive. But as soon as the Swans got, their contest and their pressure, as soon as they got on top of that, we didn't have a counter punch, and we evaporated completely.
I think Charlie too. And look, I know some people were not happy with Charlie, but he's not meant to run that much, dude. He's a key forward, and obviously he came back in defense to help because we were just getting absolutely smashed in the forward and in their forward line, and Charlie obviously came back to help, but he's not meant to run that much. He's a forward. He's just meant to mark the ball, kick goals, do a bit of running here and there, but he's not meant to be doing as much running as he was doing tonight. And Yeah, I don't know. Today was I was pretty upset. Like, look, I was pretty upset watching the game.
Of course, I think we all were, mate. Yeah, I think we're all. I mean, when's the last time we got belted like that?
Yeah, I commented under. I can't remember what post it was. I think it was Blue AFL or something. But it reminded me of Adelaide last year. It reminded me of when. Yeah, remember Gather Round last year?
Gather Round last year. True.
Yeah, it reminded me of Gather Round. I remember. It was basically like, well, we started okay. It wasn't. Oh, actually, no. The first quarter was pretty bad too. No, well, look, it reminded me of Gather Round in the sense that we were just chasing tail the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, against Adelaide, they kicked away. We tried kicking a few goals in response. It was the same with Sydney. I mean, we got off to a better start. I mean, the start was good, but the whole, the rest of the game, I think, like the start of the second quarter when I saw they had like 50 tackles to like 25. Like, it was just from there, I was like, oh, okay, this could get ugly. But yeah, no, it was fair play to Sydney, man. They're a great side. I think, some people are saying they've peaked. I don't think they've peaked. I think they'll probably keep that footy up for the rest of the season. I think they'll play some good footy for the rest of the season. I don't think they'll drop off. I think most people had them in top 4 anyway, so I don't think this should really come as a surprise to most people.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, especially at the SCG, that they play the ground, they know the ground so well.
No, exactly.
And so we'll see what happens, mate. Thanks for calling in.
Oh, I can't believe I fell asleep. Right, I'll try not to let that happen next time.
Well, you put a smile on my face.
Well, I'm glad it made people laugh. I could take a positive out of that.
See you, mate. Thanks, Joe.
Right, see you, mate. See ya.
Bye. Paulo
fell asleep like our team.
Well, I don't blame him.
That was hard to watch, wasn't it?
That was disgusting.
That's the right word. Yeah, disgusting.
Yeah,
that's a great word to use. That was as insipid a performance as you'll see for quite some time. How many fumbles tonight?
It started with actually Wiedering's first one. He fumbled it. Then McGovern fumbled a couple of marks. And then I'm like, oh, God. And I think when Harry missed his shot from directly in front, that was the first time I thought, hang on a minute, something's completely off here.
Yeah, don't know. Frustrating, isn't it? It's very frustrating. The missed tackles again. And then it was like, so at halftime, I think everyone was sort of like, okay, you can sort of see the danger signs, but at least if we go in reset, I know Wiedering was off, but we got back within. Did we kick the first goal of the third? Sorry. Yeah. So we got it back to single figures, right? And you thought, all right, Charlie's kicked it. Then what happened after that at centre stoppage?
7-0.
Oh my goodness, mate! And so I went back on KO and watched each centre stoppage at the game. I could not believe the way we set up. It was like it was an Auskick training drill, and the way that they manufactured Cripps away from the ball and created space for Warner and the light run into. No one saw it. No one could see what they were doing. No one made the necessary changes on the ground to try and stop that from happening, and then actually winning the ball back and going the other way. And then when that happens, and you can see 3 or 4 goals in a row, the margin blows out to 6-7 goals halfway through the third term, and the crowd's up and about, and that's it. It's done. It's finished. You're done. Yep. You can't come back. So, look, we know the blokes who aren't good enough, right? We know who they are, right? Corey Durden's not good enough. We know that. And Orazio just doesn't give us enough. The Zach Williams experiment up forward, Terry, if we're moving him up forward, there's just no place for him in the side if he's not a rebound defender. You cannot move a bloke like him up forward in a game against a team like that. When they start doing things like that, that's when you know it's just not working for him. And I know he's coming back from the ACL. I understand that. But if he is not playing as a rebound defender in that team, there is no place for him in that team. I'm sorry. There just isn't. And I think we just got so much wrong with regards to matchups as well. And Pommy summed it up perfectly. When the intent's not there, and then that's matched with a tactical ineptitude that we saw tonight, you're going to get a 10-goal loss, aren't you?
Yeah. Does this dent your confidence for this season?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But it doesn't dent my confidence because I'll tell you what dents my confidence. The fact that we just cannot get blokes back on the park and we can't get guys playing consistent football week in, week out. We just can't get it. We can't get it. We cannot get our best team on the park. And look, Chera coming out hurts, obviously, I get that. But Chera, Sard, Fogarty, Martin, those guys are just so important to that setup. And for me, the way we're defending at the moment, I think the way we are conceding is not to do with it is to do with our back 6 and 7 to a certain point. But for me, it's what's happening up our midfield and our forward lines. The midfield and forward line were terrible today. That was shocking.
Yeah,
they were absolutely shocking.
Completely dominated. Yeah.
It's terrible.
I'm going to have nightmares about Chad Warner dancing through everyone.
Any harm. And let's look, the bloke's a freak. He's a fantastic footballer. Do you know what really hurt me in that game? And it should hurt them as well. And they should show the vision back of it and say, this is what this bloke thinks of you. The bloke was striding through the middle of the SCG laughing.
Looking back.
He was looking back and laughing.
Yeah.
So
do you think that do you think that what you just said about what would make you drop in confidence about the injuries, do you think that can seep into the playing group?
Yeah. 100%. There's no doubt about that. But what about with the injuries? But I think there's tonight. I don't think specifically was to do with that. That was not the main reason why we lost the way we did. It's definitely a factor in it. But you're trying to ask a capacity of blokes that's just not. They just can't do it. They just cannot do it, and they haven't been able to do it since they've been at the club. And that forward half pressure is non-existent. And then you can't. And the problem is with those players like Durden, Orazio, and Williams, and all those other. You can't switch them into any other roles because they just can't play them. The problem, and we raised it after the Collingwood game. It feels as though those sort of players who are, I don't like to use the word fringe players because it's you're all part of a squad, but those blokes who play in those specific areas on the ground, where's the other string to the bow to maybe turn something up? So I don't know. I think the loss of Cottrell hurt, obviously, which that doesn't help you run and carry, but. Yeah, we got it. Is that team that fielded the park tonight 10 goals worse than Sydney?
I wouldn't have thought so, honestly.
No, I wouldn't have thought so either. I thought
there was plenty on the park. When I saw the team, I thought, you know what? Of what I see there, probably Durden, Carroll, and Fantasia were the ones that I said, all right, they're not showing great form in the AFL. But the rest... more than capable.
Well, we were actually with the Prez this morning during breakfast, and we kind of said to him, we're like, I know we've got these injuries, but have you actually looked at the field? Have you looked at the team? And we all kind of agreed. Michael, the president, we kind of all agreed and said the team's actually still pretty good. Like the names are actually all right when you think about it, but. If you don't apply yourself and you don't execute the fundamentals tonight, just blokes fumbling the ball with no one around them, mate. That's what concerns me. As a coach, you almost can't do anything about it. All you can do is just reinforce the message and say, guys, we've got to be cleaner. We have to be they know they have to be cleaner around the ball. They know they're not supposed to fumble the ball, but what is it? I don't know what it is. I don't know where tonight came from. It was so unexpected, especially after such a fast start too. We came out of the blocks flying. We were defending high up the ground. We were winning the ball from clearance, and then it all just went to the poop. I think we lost that game in that 15-minute patch of the third term. And a good team like Sydney, when they're up and about, will absolutely carve you up and put you away. And Marsden raised a fair point. He said, that's what we should have done to Melbourne last week. We had them there like that, and we should have squeezed their necks and gone, and we didn't. So maybe that's the difference between us and a team like Sydney at the moment, at this point in time. Whether or not that's true, we don't know. We're 6-4 now. We need to butter up and hopefully get a guy like Motlop into that forward line next week. Saad is so important to us as well. Foggett is important to us too. You know, so we just need to keep chipping away, mate. Keep reassessing. The performance tonight deserves every single bit of criticism and every single bit of lambasting from every single person who was at that game, who watched that game, and who thought the game was poor. They deserve all the criticism they copped tonight. There's no sugarcoating tonight. No. It was terrible. It was absolutely shit, and they'll know that. They'll know that. I don't. And the worst thing for me is I don't want them to come out and, you know, just, oh, it's okay. You know, just take accountability and I want to see them put their hand up and say, no, we were shocking tonight. That's what I want to see. Yeah. We were terrible tonight. We were poor all night. We got shown up by a better team on the night, and we need to get so much better. But the worry too is that it's not just the players that executed poorly on the night. I just thought we set up so poorly around the ball, and just the moves that we pulled in game as well. Like Charlie was probably our best defender for a certain point. But he was getting the ball where others probably should have got it, and then he was looking up further afield, trying to find a short option so he could bolt back and get the ball the other way. We had nothing to go.
We couldn't get that ball out of our back half. I mean, Charlie at one point was the last defender. Harry was the first kick outside of D50, and we just couldn't get the ball any further than that.
Nah. I thought the Koning had his colours really lowered tonight. I thought he was really poor. I thought, Pito just battled, doesn't he? Oh, he's been so good. I know people don't want to hear it, but I thought he was great tonight. Him and Elijah Hollins, I think, can hold their heads up high tonight. They were the only ones. And Brody Kemp, I think, as well tonight too. They're probably the only three I think that can really, really hold it. Walsh was held. Really well held.
Very well held tonight. Yeah.
Rowbottom did a fantastic job on him.
Yeah. They had Rowbottom rotate. They had, what's his name? James Jordan, I think it was, on him for a bit as well. He just couldn't shake it. Couldn't shake it.
But that's also incumbent on your teammates to give you a chop out and help too. And, you know, they should have, and I'm sure they would have said, you know, Walsh, it's probably not your night tonight, but we're going to step up for you. So, you know, and people saying, you know, the midfield's too slow and there's no leg speed in there, but it's by necessity at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean,
got much else that can run through there.
Mate, James Rowbottom had 16 tackles.
Yeah. To me, like, and people say, oh, the midfield's slow, but if you look at the way we were set up around stoppage, any midfield's got to look 10 times faster than you if you set up the way we did at stoppage and at centre bounces tonight. So, yeah, it's very frustrating, mate. I was having conniptions at the game with the way we were fumbling the ball, and just if you can't do the basics right, I just. And the worst thing is that once we start to go in the shell, we start to continue to go long up the line and slow, and there's no method behind it, and it all just becomes too hard for them. So, yeah, very, very frustrating game. Very frustrating game. So we just have to butter up and go again next week. What else can we do?
Mate, you made
just hope we get a few back. Hope Jack Martin's calf decides to come back to life next week, and don't know. We'll see how we go, I suppose. We'll be there with bells and whistles next week. What is it, Saturday afternoon?
Saturday afternoon, Marvel Stadium. We'll be there. You're spending the weekend in Sydney, or you're just gone for the game?
Nah, well, as you know, I'm supposed to be in London, but we've obviously had some family stuff where I've had to reschedule, so I'll be here for the whole time, and we'll be out of Sydney tomorrow morning. So in and out job. So
fair.
Yep. We'll see what Marvel next week.
See what Marvel get a
maybe
safe flight home.
West Ham can give us something this weekend.
You might need to make a last-minute flight back to London if West Ham win.
No. They can wait. The football and soccer can wait. My family's always first, as you know. All right. I'll see you at Marvel next week.
All right, mate. Ciao. Vic Wide renovations. Terry, how much did we miss Matty Cottrell? A lot. We missed a lot of guys tonight. Speaking of London, Joe's calling in from London. Hey, mate.
What a waste of fucking time that was. There are thousands of things I could have done today instead of watch that, and I still watched it. And I watched it all like a dickhead too. Man.
How bad was it? It was awful.
Mate.
It was awful.
I agree. I agree with Paul. They need to cop the vitriol and the criticism after that, because here's where we're at this point in time with this club. We've got a window of opportunity that's about that big with this group now. That big. And they need to wake up and realise that this could be so fleeting that it's come and gone before we even know it. Yeah, I get it. There's injuries. We've got some of our best 22 out, but effort is non-negotiable. And there was zero effort across the park tonight after the first quarter. Zero. Yeah, and if you want to be the absolute best, these are the points in time where you need to look inward and listen outward, externally, and go, all right, that just simply wasn't good enough, and we can't put that shit up anymore. Simple. If you're not, as a supporter, if you're not, I'm in a cafe, so I'm keeping my emotions in check. If I wasn't, I'd be speaking very differently. But if you're a supporter and you're not livid after watching that, then I'm sorry. In my humble and honest opinion, I don't think you understand what it takes to be the best. Sydney showed us what it takes to be the best, the absolute best. Injuries are a reason at this point. I get it, but like you guys just said, you and Paul, that side that was out there tonight was not a 10-goal worse side than what Sydney was. They just weren't. So 26 tackles to halftime. For me, it's purely down to effort, and there's a lot of passengers out there at the moment that whether they're up to AFL standard or not, who knows? That's not for us to say. But tonight, they purely weren't up to the level, and it was purely down to effort. And it's very, very disappointing, Tez. It's just disappointing, mate.
I saw a stat from Bagalytics at halftime. So, of the tackles that we had attempted and that Sydney had attempted, so our tackle attempts, we went at 50%. Sydney, 75%.
And you could see it. And that was at halftime, yeah?
That was at halftime.
I want the stat for the second half because it was fucking worse.
Yeah.
It was worse. There were two passages of play that I almost broke the TV in the pub that I was watching it at. There was, I believe it was Warner just dance stepping for fun on the 50. And there was a passage of play that led up to Heaney's third goal, I believe, his third goal. Go back and replay that passage. End to end, Sydney went, and they did it like it was a fucking training drill. I have never seen, in all my years of football, that passage of play, I have never, ever seen a side get just absolutely embarrassed end to end in the way that we did, because there were opportunities for us to stop the play and we just didn't want to. Simple. There was no want, there was no will, there was no desire for 3 quarters tonight against the best side in the comp, and that is never, ever going to cut it. Never. That's simple, mate. It is simple at this point. We'll get players back. We'll be fine. We will play finals. We are a finals football side. We've shown that. We're capable of it. But in the meantime, you cannot lose your identity. And we've lost our identity for the last 3 weeks. We beat Melbourne last week, fantastic. The way that we finished that game was a concern. Said it from the start. We finished that game the way that we played for 4 quarters tonight. 4 quarters. Not good enough. Simply not good enough. If you want to win flags, Tez, if it's not clear to everyone at this point, you need to be at your absolute best all the fucking time. Your standards need to be higher than everyone else's, and right now, they're not. Right now, as we speak.
They learned one of the harshest lessons tonight.
They
got it. And the thing is, when sometimes in a close win, maybe even in a close loss, you could sometimes say, yeah, we were so good for so long in that game. But a loss like that, it's just all revealed there. Like, that's going to be a really grim review when they all watch that in front of each other.
And I hope in the review, this is what that we'll never know, unfortunately, because we're not inside the four walls. But if you want extreme accountability at a football club, I hope in the review there are individual performances and efforts pointed out. Individuals. At this point, with where this club is at, there are certain individuals week after week that do not put the effort that is required to win premierships. And I really hope that we're at a point in the evolution of our football club where these players are mature enough to be able to call each other out individually in reviews. To say it's just not fucking good enough. And look each other in the eye and go, yeah, fair enough. You're right, I've got to learn from that. Rather than suck it up and come out next week and do the exact same shit. There's a certain level that you've got to get to be successful in any elite sporting environment. That's the next step in our evolution. We're never going to know if they're the conversations that happen inside the four walls, but I can only hope that come Monday, they are extremely accountable with each other. And you'll see it next week when we come out against the Suns, because either we're going to lay 50 tackles again, or we're going to lay 80. Simple.
I hope so, man. I hope so. I hope this was a reality check that we look back and we say they needed that to click into gear and, you know, start taking it a little bit more seriously, because we have had a bit of a buffer with the win-loss record now for a couple of weeks, and you can sort of say, oh, well, we're still going okay, but that's now evening up pretty quickly.
But we are. Like, the perspective is that we put ourselves in a good position. We won that Giants game. We won the Melbourne game. They're two very, very important wins. I've said it for weeks now. They are two extremely important wins when it comes to the end of the season. The win-loss record will sort itself out. It just will by the end of the season, right? But you still have to take stock in these moments and just say it's not good enough. That was fucking shit house. It was horrendous. That's not the type of performance that we should be putting out in terms of where we're at in the life stage of this football club. It's just not. It's not good enough anymore. You know? So, I don't know. To you, Tez, did it... I was sitting there in the third when they had that run, and I literally said to myself, I think they've actually given up tonight. I looked across the ground and I thought...
For sure.
I thought that they just went, fuck, this is too hard.
For sure. I think it was after... just before Charlie kicked his behind where it was touched on the line. So it went Heaney goal, Warner goal, Gordon over to McLean, he missed. Then Heaney when he outmarked Chincotta kicked his goal, and then Sam Wicks kicked his goal. In that moment, I just sort of looked back and I'm like, no, well, it's too hard.
Yeah.
You know, they're just not wrestling it back.
No.
So
it's extremely disappointing, mate. Extremely, and everyone should be disappointed, and rightfully so. There's no positives to take from it. There's just not. It really isn't. In the broader scheme of it, but in the broader scheme of things, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the season. We're 6-4. Might drop out of the 8 this week, but we will bounce back. Whether we bounce back next week or the week after, it'll happen. It will turn. Saw it last year. There's no doubt in my mind, but it's just very, very frustrating at the moment. Very frustrating to see those patches that we just cannot put together.
Yeah. What time is it there?
It is 2:45 p.m. So I've got the afternoon just to walk around, go see some vintage stores, go walk around the streets, and hopefully forget about that one very quickly.
Well, mate, enjoy the Gunners. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Go Blues.
Up the Baggers. Catch you next week.
See you, mate. Danny, with the $8, says, we've lost our pressure and tackling ability. If we compare it to late last year, got to get our identity and main players back. Get the gloves out. Yeah. Monica, hello.
Hey, Tez. How are
What's
you?
up? Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I just one quick thing. I won't take your time up. Just want to put an investigation to the AFL on the size of that field. I've never been to the SCG. This was my first time. The size of that field, they were like the first and second quarter, I think, they were kicking goals from the 50. and then straight to the centre bounce, one handball, kick, goal. That, like, I don't know, I guess we obviously play at Marvel, which is smaller than the G, but to go from what we play usually on bigger grounds to a small ground where you don't have any space, I would have thought that it would be easier to, like, I don't know, maybe lay a tackle, maybe see where the ball is. So I don't know. It was.
Did it look like I mean, I was watching on screen. It looked like a game of tennis. That's how quickly the ball seemed to be moving back and forth. Was it like that at the game?
Yeah, it was. They just looked like, I don't know, they would take 3 steps past 3 of our players and the ball was in their 50.
Yeah.
They were just so quick, and we just looked so slow tonight. So slow. And even I took note in the third quarter and even the fourth. I feel like in the fourth we kind of gave up. But the third quarter, it almost felt as if we didn't lay the tackle, no one chased after it. And it was kind of like, oh, well, I've missed it. I've missed the tackle, so the next person will get it. And then the next person misses it. And the ball just kept swinging in their 50. It was, I don't know, too easy. Looked like they just had a training run.
Yeah. It was messed up. Does it dent your belief in this season, or is it just a one-off?
It doesn't, but then I also look back to last year and I think wasn't last year a big enough lesson from what happened? Do we have to go through the lesson again? Because it's the same bunch of players out there. It's the same collective group that we had last year. Was last year not a big enough lesson to teach you that you can't really risk like blowout games like this? I know it's the best team in the comp, but I would have taken a 20-point loss, but to take a 50-point loss the way we played, so disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't seen lack of effort like that. I think I said it earlier. Do you remember when Larky kicked 7 in 2021 and they were just walking around us? Port Adelaide, end of 2021, they were just walking goals in 19 in a row. It just reminded me of those days.
I appreciate the fact that I think it was Boyd that laid the tackle on, I forget his name. I call him the Lizard. Everyone calls him the Lizard.
Big Blakey?
Yeah. When I think it was Boyd that laid the tackle on him in the fourth quarter. Was it?
Yes.
And then got holding the ball, got the free kick, and then got a goal from it.
Yeah.
Where was that all game? He's going to run through. He's going to run through any day of the week. And usually he takes 3 steps and he's in the 50.
It was Zach Williams, I think.
Zach Williams, yeah, it was.
Zach Williams, yeah.
Yeah. And I forgot who said it before, but I had a laugh. The fact that if we're playing Zach Williams in the forward line, something's wrong. When we have to put Charlie in the back, Harry's basically playing on the wing and Zach Williams is in the forward line. We've got the whole field the wrong way around. I don't know, like when we've got a whole team on the sidelines that are like injuries and stuff. But there was enough players out there that have played enough games to have known what to do. There was not a bad side out there tonight. It's a good side. And I don't know. Yeah, everyone said it. It was lack of effort. Maybe it was because I dyed my hair. Maybe that was the bad luck.
Maybe you got to get the blonde back in there. Nah, brunette's the way to go. That's a winner.
I went to the dark side this weekend.
You sure did. You ended up in Sydney.
I know. Anyway.
Thanks for calling in.
It'll be fine.
Go Blues.
Enjoy. Go Blues.
See ya. All right. Who we got? Tyler.
Terry. Fucking hell, mate.
Fucking hell. Nice hair.
Thank you. I thought it needed to be definitely cut a little bit. Needed to be cut back a little bit. But look, It was insipid. It was humbling. It was abhorrent. There are so many words you can talk about this game, in all honesty. Lack of effort, definitely. To talk about multiple different points about that, but I just think really it's that, as someone pointed out before, it's that hunger. That hunger it wasn't even there.
No.
And see, that's what it. And you look at Sydney, their hunger for the ball it was amazing to watch. If you were a Sydney supporter, you'd come out of that game going, that was incredible. But as a Carlton supporter, you'd be going, fuck me. Where the fuck? Where was it? Where was that drive? So, but look, I think the biggest thing I find with this team now, I can't compare because obviously I wasn't around for the time of 1995, but there have been multiple stories told about, and then even like interviews from the old players, like, you know, on Blue Abroad and when they come on and all of that, if you get the lucky chance to listen to them, is that they said back then that every single player was accountable for not only their position, but for the whole performance. And if you played shit, you were told you were shit. That's just the way it was. And on Joe's point, if they come out of there and say, "Oh, look, you know, we'll bounce back next week" and all of that, and they don't, oh my God! Well, then it's like, well, okay, you've learnt nothing. You've seriously learnt nothing. Like, the tackle pressure was disgusting. It was disgusting. First quarter, 19-2. That's not even AFL standard. In all honesty,
the way that their lack of intensity and their lack of desire was so evident because they've brought it for so long.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
you just see it's been there for so long. That's why I'll watch the game again. Unfortunately, I will. But my instinct was telling me throughout the game, oh shit, did they lose belief tonight? Like, has the external noise about injury, did that seep into them? Did they lose belief in what's been happening because of all this noise? Because all week, let's be honest, the talk was not about beating Sydney all week from media and especially Carlton fans. I would say 98% of the talk and the sentiment this week was about injuries. At no point do I remember having a really significant conversation about, all right, this is how we beat the Swans. And I do wonder if that seeped into the playing group.
Oh, I reckon it was definitely there, 100%. Now, in terms of injuries and all of that, yeah, we're going to get a couple back next week. That's great. But see, as you pointed out before, they need consistency. Like, you look at that Sydney team. They know the ins and outs of that team on that field, like, pretty much. Like, they were there. They were at the fall of the ball. You watched them how they played. Like, they were ready to go at the minute that there was an opportunity. Bang, they took it. See, but that comes from a team that has built the consistency and also trusts each other as well. I feel like at times the trust isn't there. Like, we're still learning to trust in some points. And then also the aggression, the ruthless aggression. Like, there are some times where we just, like, the tackles and all of that. Like, it's like we were just trying to give them a little hug, like going, "Oh, it's all right, mate," and then all of a sudden they're off. It's just, it's really frustrating. Like, I'm not going to say hand on heart that the season's done. It's far from it. We have got a very, very long season. Like, you look at this season, and everyone says, "Oh, you know, opening round was technically round one," all of that. 25 rounds this season alone, That's a long season. And then you've also got to add into the next couple of years. We're going to get another team. And if the AFL decides they're going to add another team, so that means you're going to have more rounds, all of that. It is all going to get to a point where whoever is on the field has to play with effort, and also at the same time, if we're going to lose, I'd rather go out with effort rather than just giving up entirely. This isn't 2021. This isn't 2019. It's not. It's a completely different. It's a completely different club, and until we accept that we are a better team, and we are 100%. We are a better team. That is the time. That will be the time when we really take it to the rest of the competition. Are we ahead of where we should be? Yes, we are. 2 out of 5 games, okay, against the top 4 teams or top sides. That's great. I'm happy with that. We knew it was going to be a tough fixture at that point, but now is the time. Gold Coast next week. I'm expecting a win. I don't care. I'm expecting a win. However, I'm very curious about the round after it as well. It is Adelaide, and it is at Adelaide with Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval.
Doesn't get any easier, does it?
Now, I can tell you now, I don't know. I think, in all honesty, you look. I don't know. I think actually, Brisbane at the opening round was an outlier. You look at our track record away from the MCG or the Marvel, it's crap. I don't know why. It's like the mentality of the boys was like, well, I don't know. Like, you know, I don't know. We've had the record. Oh, we can't play well at the SCG. Oh, we can't play well at the Adelaide. Oh, we can't play well at the Gabba, or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that even seeps into it. I don't know. But I think injuries, that did play a part in it. But mentality-wise, it just wasn't there. There was just no effort. And there are players out there that are going to have to be accountable, 100%. And I'm not going to name them because that's not fair. But then again, they already know who they are, and the accountability has to be there.
Yeah.
And this team can go far. And more importantly, we can be a premiership side. I don't think if we continue playing like that, well, we're not a premiership side. But at the same time, I'm going to take a breath, and we will come good. It's a long season. We've got a lot of people coming back, but what you said as well, we need consistency with them. We need a little bit of consistency, and I think also a little bit of level-headedness as well at times. But
I think more than ever, when things don't go your way, I think
100%.
This will be a good example. I mean, yeah, it's a balance. You got to keep pushing on. You can have anyone back in that side if they bring that desire. If Saad was there, if Martin was there, if Fogarty was there, if that application was also there with all of those players back, we still would have lost. So
exactly, and see, and that's the point. And just very quickly, like you look at the people have compared like the end of like when the Gold Coast game and all of that. Well, that's when we got a little bit of spark back into us. But when you look at the back end of that year, besides you had the likes of Walsh or Chera being out or any of those players, there was still consistency throughout that entire run.
Yeah.
And so most of those games when we won, like it was just because on the back of a consistent performance. Now, when you've got a lot of players in and out, it makes it very difficult to remain consistent. But then again, we'll take this as a massive loss. Okay, fair enough. He has a chance to bounce back. We've got a couple of big games coming up. Gold Coast, definitely we should win that one. Port Adelaide at Adelaide, it's going to be a tough game. And then also at the same time, I'll be really looking forward to Essendon versus Carlton at the MCG. If we win that one,
let's
then we're good to go.
Let's get to next Saturday. And
Let's get to next Saturday.
Thanks, Tyler.
Catch you, Terry.
See you, mate. Johnny Holden. Hello, mate.
How you doing, mate?
Oh, yeah, 50-point loss. It's been a while, but here we are.
Yeah, well, it's been a long day. We left Melbourne at 6 o'clock this morning, drove up.
Wow.
Got to Sydney, dicked around in Sydney traffic for a fair bit. Got to the game, had a decent spot. Quarter started. It was really good. It was like Brisbane all over again. In the final last year, we come out fast and hard, and that was it. They just gave up. The one thing I do notice is we lack leg speed. I know a couple of the guys on here always go on about leg speed doesn't matter. The ball travels faster than you run, blah, blah, blah. I get that. But when someone like a Papley or someone like that's got the ball and they take off and you're 5 meters behind them and you can't catch them, that's leg speed. If you've got the ball and you're kicking forward, yeah, no problem. I agree with it. The ball moves quicker than the man. But if you're neck and neck and you attack a contest and you get the ball and you put 5 meters on them within 3 feet, that's pace. That's just sheer leg speed and pace. And they outrun us all night. And we sat elevated, and you could see it. Broken tackles. We could not lay a tackle to save our lives.
It was
unbelievable. It was almost like they were lubed up, all on their arms and their chest. Because every time we went to grab them, they just broke through. With them, they nailed every tackle. After quarter time, it started getting dewy. You could feel it in the air, and you could notice the ball just wasn't. We just couldn't clunk it, and fumbly, and that I don't know what it looked like on TV. But after quarter time, they shifted a couple of magnets. They got on top in the middle, and that was it. They just tore us apart, and we were just chasing tail for the rest of the night. So I don't know what it was like on TV, but from where we were sitting, we were just second to the contest every single time.
100%.
And when we were in front, we couldn't stick the ball. We couldn't stick a mark.
Yeah, I was saying earlier, it looked like a tennis match. The way the ball was pinging around left and right, and for whatever reason, yeah, it was a little slippery and it was a little dewy, but it looked like we were the only ones affected by it. The Swans were just clean with it when they needed to be, harder with it when they needed to be. 17 running bounces to 0. And I think the reality is, I mean, yeah, look, the ball does travel quicker than the man, but that goes out the window when you use it the way that we use it. We don't hit our targets with the ball. So what use is it with the ball moving quick if you can't use it well?
Like some of the targets that we were sort of
hey, Josh,
trying to hit up, were just you could see it from above and you could see it unfolding in front of you. Like they would dump kicks into the forward line. The amount of times that we were seeing players not even looking, they were just grabbing the ball and just dump kicking it. I don't want to sort of name names, but there was a couple of like senior blokes that you would think would be a little bit better and just blazing away at kicks. They weren't even looking for targets. Second efforts, third, they were giving up the chase. Downhill skiers was, we've been labelled that a lot, and that really showed tonight. You could see there were some that just ran and ran and ran all night, and there was others, they just gave up. They just completely gave up. And you were like, I don't mind getting beat. We are playing the best side. We have a lot of injuries, but it was the effort. It was the way we didn't compete. That was what hurt the most. Like you can deal with the 10-goal loss every now and again against a good side, but how you lose is the question. Yeah. So no, it was disappointing.
That the third quarter reminded me of 2016 when Sydney were like up top and we were right down the bottom, and they were just getting it out so easily. And it was like, are we even on? Did they put the little kids the little league kids on for us, like at halftime, it was just a joke. I genuinely believe our midfield is probably one of the best in the competition. Maybe not the best, but definitely one of. And they made us just look beyond second rate. Like
there was
honestly,
no resistance. There was absolutely no resistance in that third quarter. It was
they would just get the ball, and it was just in our forward line, and they were either having a shot or just about to have a shot, and it was just I couldn't believe it.
It looked unbelievable on the screen. How easy they made it look.
Well, the three players that you would think they'd put effort into: Blakey, Heaney, and maybe Warner. They were just running. They were loose nearly all night.
Yeah.
Like all night in the back line, you're just going, who the hell is picking up Blakey? He was standing there by himself, and he was just sweeping up. And like it was, I know Curnow went forward, but it was like, okay, who's going to man him up? Well, Curnow's up forward. Are you going to at least, I don't know, give Rampy a wide berth, let him sort of run off a bit and keep the eye on Blakey because he's a damaging one? No, it was like, just leave him be. Oh, well, doesn't matter. And same as Heaney, like when he was coming forward into their forward half, God knows who was on Heaney. He was just by himself half the night. It was like, pick him up.
It was like Petrarca all over.
Yeah. It's almost like they're told, you stay on player X and that's it. Where they literally that they stick to the plan too much rather than sort of go, hang on, he's free, someone man him up, go to him. It's like, no. I was told stand in this spot, guard this bit of grass, don't move. No matter what, don't move. And players would be running past me thinking, pick him up. No, and like dangerous players, it's like, oh, for God's sakes. I know you've got a game plan, but sometimes you've got to man up.
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is. I think it might be a loss that we needed to have.
Yeah.
They're the best side. We've got 16 injuries now. Like,
something
are we
like
going to be able to? Are we going to be able to field the team next week? Like, we get 1 or 2 more injuries, that'll be it.
I'll tell you what, it's going to affect training because you can't. It affects your scrimmages at training.
Affects everything.
I think we get 3 back. Oh, I hope. I think we get 3 back next week. But whether or not they play in the AFL, I don't know. Someone came on earlier and said it. I mean, the most important thing is getting them back and then keeping them in and not having them re-injure themselves because we haven't had a settled side all year. That's the truth.
At this rate, we get 1 player back and 2 more going out.
Yeah.
It just feels like we're constantly, we go, oh, awesome, last week, McGovern and Martin are back, great. And then we lost 4 players through injury, and you go, we gained 2 but lost 4.
Yeah. When are you guys coming back to? When are you guys coming back?
Tomorrow morning, so we just take it easy. Get up when we get up and just cruise back.
Yeah. Well, all that effort just to watch the boys put that in.
Well, we ticked it off a bucket list. We did GWS last year and the Brisbane final. We've done Sydney this week, so we've got a couple more to go, and that'll be it. Bucket list is done.
Fair. Well, appreciate you guys.
We'll let you go, and we'll see when we're looking at you.
Yeah.
Thanks, boys. Take care.
Right. Take care. Bye.
All right, Jamison.
Hey Terry, how are you?
I'm good, mate. Calling from LA?
No, New Jersey.
New Jersey, sorry. New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey.
Nothing. We had the whole world tonight.
Yeah, nothing better than getting up at 5:30 in the morning to see your team getting thumped. But yeah, I mean, everything's pretty much been said. But I think that the biggest disappointment, frustration, and there's so many actually, but none of our top 10 tier players, our leaders, none of them stood up. None of them showed any example to the rest of the team on how to, overcome the onslaught. And it's so disappointing. I mean, how many years in a rebuild are we? 10?
What are we? 2024. I think we're 7 or 8 years in. I think maybe 9.
8 years, and we got put to the sword. And I think it's fair to have an expectation that we should be putting teams to the sword, and we've had opportunities, but we just haven't been able to do that. And that's what's, I mean, Essendon are a better team than us. Like, you know, when you're thinking about those sort of things, it's just like, how is that possible? Like, it's just, I don't know. It's hard to find the words. It really is. And I mean, even some of the things that really annoy me is laughing at the end of the game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just got your asses whipped and you're having a laugh. Like, not like 5-10 minutes after the game, but as soon as the siren goes and you're shaking hands, you're having a laugh. Like, or having a laugh when you give away a 50-meter penalty. Like, that's not the Carlton that I grew up watching. That's not the Carlton that I know. That's I don't know what that is. Is that a culture thing? Because that's unacceptable to me. Like, that shows a lack of pride and respect for the jumper. And that's not what Carlton is. We've never been that. You know, and I'm old school. Like, I may have mentioned it. I've been to 5 Carlton grand finals, and it's hard not to make comparisons. I've seen three wins, but it's hard not to make comparisons with those teams and the caliber of those teams and the attitude of those teams and the intensity of those teams and what we've got now. And it's just hard to fathom. Hard to fathom that it's 30 years since we've won a grand final. That's a lifetime for probably a lot of the people that are tuning in at the moment.
Mate, it's a good point. I mean, it's at a point now where there's such a gap in generations. Like, what you know, the stories of the premiership sides, like, to me, that they're fairy tales almost. Like, I don't know what a premiership team looks like. This whatever we've seen in the last say 12 months, it's the best Carlton team I've ever watched in my life with my memory. You know, I was too young for 95 and I don't remember 99. And like, I mean, I was like 8 years old. So this is the best I've ever seen. That probably says a bit about what I have seen and what a lot of.
And just the fact that you're saying that is kind of hard for me to also comprehend, because you've seen the best of the best and we're not there. We're just not there. I mean, I know the intensity wasn't there. That was quite obvious, but just the skill level, like our skill level, and it's not just this game or this year. It's been too many years where our skill level is just in tight situations is just not there, and our decision making is just not there. And I'm sure everyone has lost count of how many times. You know, you see a player screaming for the ball on their own, 15, 20 meters away. There's no one on them and still kick it to a 50-50. And you can just see as soon as that happens, there's going to be a turnover and they're going to score a goal. Like, you can see the goal happening before it happens, 3 or 4 passages before it happens. It's that obvious. And I don't understand why it's not obvious to them or the coaching staff. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't get it. I don't feel like there's enough accountability. I mean, back in the day, you know, you screwed up, you got dragged. You got dragged. You got taken off immediately. You weren't playing well. You got dragged. You didn't get a game. Like, who's going to come out this week? Who's going to come out?
It's hard. It's hard when there's not many left to replace them, you know, and the ones that are left to replace them.
But at the same time,
young.
I mean, surely we have some players in the reserves that can lay more than one tackle. Like, why wouldn't we get the guy who's got the most amount of tackles in the reserves and give him a game in the forward line? I mean, how many tackles did Fantasia, Dirds, and Owies lay in the forward line? I think total of maybe 2. they probably had a total of 15 possessions amongst the three of them. And again, I don't want to single out people, but let's be honest. Let's call it for what it is. Like, that's unacceptable. You know, and
yeah, now Dirt's had 1, Fantasia had 3, always had 3.
And how many
one.
possessions? How many possessions?
Always had his 11. Fantasia had his 8. Dirt's had 3 handballs. Yeah, it's tough.
I mean, come on, Dirts, you got a 2-year contract. Where is your pride in the jumper, and where is your effort to reward the club for showing faith in you? Like, I don't get that. Like, I have a lot of pride. If someone's going to give me an opportunity, especially a 2-year contract, I'm gonna bust my balls. I'm going to make sure that my position isn't going to be compromised. And right now, he should get dropped, and that's kind of embarrassing. You've just got a 2-year deal, and now you're getting dropped.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't get it. Where was TDK in the second half? Was he even on the ground? I mean, I didn't see him. Charlie Curnow and Harry Mackay in the back line. I mean, that's like Stephen Kernahan and Brendan Fafala playing in the back line. Like, that is just, you never, ever, ever would even dream of seeing that, no matter how much you're trying to stem the flow.
Yeah. No, mate. It's a real tough one to swallow tonight. It's a tough one to watch. It's the worst performance in a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, Bossy, I mean, how is he going to spin a positive out of this one? I mean, 3 weeks ago, can't remember the game, he said it was unacceptable and he was pretty harsh. That didn't make much of a difference the following week. What's he going to say this week? Like, there's got to be some really hard decisions that need to be made, and players need to be held accountable. And we need to see it as the fans. We need to see it. Yeah, I just it's hard to digest, and we've got a long way to go. If there's any positives, I mean, Newman. I mean, if everybody played with the same heart and intent as him, we'd be a top side, because he just gives his all every time.
It's the guys who weren't the top draft picks and the guys who have had to do it the hard way that always find that consistency, even in losses.
Yeah.
Always seem to be those guys.
Yeah, I actually felt like Zach Williams did better not playing in the back line. I actually did like that move.
Had his moments.
And he had his moments. So he did look a little bit better than previous games. But yeah, look, we're decimated by injuries, but that's still no excuse for a lack of desire, intensity, effort. And our transition game is a joke. We've been saying this for like a couple of years now. Our forward entry is just, how can you have the two best forwards in the competition, have one of the best midfields in the competition, and still not be able to dominate games? Yeah. Like, Charlie's body language at times reminded me of Favola back in the day, and Dennis Pagan threw him in the back. I think threw him in full back to teach him a lesson.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just stroll around because you've lost the ball or you've been outmarked or outbodied. Like, I don't think I've ever seen him lay a tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, those things there, I don't want to sound too harsh, but those things there, they make a difference. They make a difference to the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Harry missing a goal directly in front, 10 meters out. Come on.
We're going to have to move on.
Anyway,
we're gonna have to move on. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. I know it's a weird time there in New Jersey, but thank you so much for calling in, mate.
No worries, mate. Have a good one.
All right. See ya. All right. Mark, hello.
Hey Terry, how you going?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Long time fan, first time guest. Just going to touch on a couple of quick things. First, to all those who said they were cooked, we're not cooked, first and foremost. So, after last year's finish, Carlton clearly believed in the list. Yes, we did make some mistakes in our selections, like Fantasia, for example. But with the full list, we would have arguably been our first loss this year tonight. So, in order to be on top, stay the obvious here, you need a full strength team and you need the players to play regularly to have the chemistry, to be able to develop and to know each other's game style and basically be better. So, obviously, you look into the team now and we can develop. So all those saying that we're cooked, this and that, we're not. It's just our injuries. That's the only thing that's punishing us. So what to do with injuries? Obviously, I'm not part of the team selection. I'm not part of the club. So I don't have the answer. None of us really have the answer. But if we had a full strength team like Sydney or close to, we would have been our first loss this year. I strongly believe that. Now, moving on, there are teams that have a great list like us in the past that just simply by changing a few things have gone to premiership glory. So one perfect example, Adelaide, 1996, they had a stack of injuries. Yet they had a started team. They had Jarman, McLeod, Rashudo, Modra. They changed their fitness coach. In the preseason, they brought Neil Craig, who was their future coach about 10 years later. Then they won back-to-back flags. So sometimes it's just a small missing piece. So, that's one solution. Another quick thing as well I was going to mention to Paolo. He mentioned before, a good list has the luxury to leave players in. So look at Parker, an amazing player, yet there's no room for him. Now, we look at someone like Williams, we need to have him in the team. Good teams have that luxury, and that's why hopefully when our injuries and things like that, then we can have other players come in. Now, another thing as well, surely we've got a VFL player that can take the spot of Durden or Fantasia.
Who are they?
The other calls. They mentioned it. Sorry?
Who is it? Who are they?
I wish
I want to know. I want to know who they are.
Yeah, I know. I was hoping you could help me on that one. I was hoping. Look, Ashton Moore. But the thing is, even if they don't score a goal, who else aside from someone like Always, who's been consistent and very reliable? Who else do we have that really scoring goals or laying tackles? So, it's an experiment. It's something that we need to do in the meantime because these players aren't performing. Obviously, people like Motlop and Martin are the first pick, but when they're consistently injured, what else do we have?
Yeah, I mean it's a tough one because putting Binns and Moya, who I know are going to get brought up, or Billy Wilson, I don't think tonight was the night to get those boys in. I think that game happened. Like the speed of that game was so fast.
Yeah,
you run the risk of completely ruining their confidence by playing them.
That's true.
I don't think it's the game to bring in a Moya tonight when it was hard for. It was hard for Charlie Kerner to get a kick at certain points as well, let alone Ashton Moya. So, but I think now that the siren's gone and we've lost, it's a really easy point to make that Moya should have played, or Wilson should have played, or Binzi should have played. But I feel like there's a reason why they haven't played.
True, but do you remember when Essendon had the supplement saga and they were forced to bring in a lot of players in the VFL, and then within a couple of years, they pushed their way into finals because these players who would have never normally had a spot in the seniors had to learn the hard way and were thrown into the deep end. So it could go both ways.
There's a lot of players that played in that era that never recovered as well because they didn't get to develop.
That's true.
And
I
would argue that Essendon team didn't really go on to be successful.
Oh, yes.
So
probably not the best example.
Yeah, no, but I get your point. I think you make a really good point. I just think that game there was not one that I would want to see Ashton Moya in this early in his career. And I just think at some point we need to realise that Sydney were unbelievable tonight.
That's why it should have been our first loss of the year, because then we'll be like, okay, Sydney in Sydney. But then if we finish top 4, then if we play Sydney in Melbourne, on our home turf. So that fear of having to play Sydney over there is eliminated. Like, going back to when I was talking about the team selection and how we didn't really build the team, you look at great teams over the years. I think with Melbourne, they brought in Stephen May because it was a missing link. Geelong, I think it was Brad Odden, was the Richmond player. To build the team. And that actually brings me to now, I know a lot of the listeners, including yourself, you mentioned before, can't remember our grand final teams. I compare, for example, 93 grand final to the 95 grand final. So in 93, we had the star players already there. Like, on our list, we had Greg Williams, Koutafidis, Kernahan, Silvani, Bradley. But then we had players like, you won't know any of these players, like Tim Powell, Mark Ahorn, Brad Scholl. And these are sort of middle-of-the-line players, and we couldn't keep up. And then within a couple of years, we brought in Dean Rice, Brad Pearce, Matt Clappay, Scott Camporelli, and those missing links to get a premiership side. So that's really what we should do. I mean, not to be afraid to recruit, because, yes, we've got a great list, but then, surely just 1 star, 2 stars. I mean, we've got the resources, and I'm sure a lot of the players are willing to sacrifice if it's just 1 player in.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a great conversation to have when we can actually make those moves. So, October will come around, and I think we'll revisit this conversation, because ultimately, or maybe actually, no, mid-season draft, we're going to get maybe 1 or 2 players. So there's a few that might come there. And then you get to October, end of season, and then we can have these conversations about finding those little links in the chain and recruiting or trading or drafting. And because right now, you can't pick up anyone other than whoever's on your list. You can't play anyone else.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
And I'll also say last thing, Terry, because I know it's getting late and you're probably talked out for the night. Just obviously bringing up something that's been brought up multiple times from every Carlton fan, the tackling pressure. I mean, maybe even if we look at an outside resource, like, working with the Melbourne Storm, something like that, anything, because you look at a rugby game, for example, especially when you go live to one, where if 1 player breaks, it's open goal. The defense, the tackling pressure. Yes, obviously we're not going to tackle like rugby, but at the same time, to increase the tackles. I know when there was an interview back in '86 when Hawthorn won the flag, and they asked Michael Tuck, the captain, what they did differently from the year before, and they lost the grand final. They said every player had to increase their tackles every game before we went into the season, and they won the flag. So if every player can commit to at least doing an extra tackle, 1 tackle, 2 tackles, that's 20 more tackles in a game. Like, I know it sounds cheesy what I'm saying, but if we literally practice on these things, and I know I keep on bringing the past, but these are philosophies that they had, and it worked. Yes, different style, different era, blah blah blah, but increasing the tackle pressure, that's what good teams did. Like, you look at, for example, our team from 99 to 2001, we finished 2nd, 3rd, and 6th, and we were unlucky to miss the prelim that year. Very unlucky. We had a team that was middle of the road, but that team played above and beyond. Literally, before 2002 season, when things went a different way, David Parkin called us a B+ team during a press conference during that era, and yet we played out of our skin because we put pressure. So everyone talks about, the performance and this and that. When you put pressure, you look better than what you are, and that's what Carlton truly needs to do. So everything about the tackle conversation and what was that, and all these things from all the calls in the past, increase the tackles. And I know it's easier said than done, but if you need to work with external sources or whatever you need to do, just do it to Carlton.
Yeah. Mate, I really enjoyed that. Thank you so much for calling in.
Have a nice night. Take care. All the best.
Go Blues. Aiden.
Hey, man.
How you doing?
Yeah, not bad. I want to ask you, what do you think we're missing from here? Like, what do you think can improve from tonight?
Start with our application defensively. Start
Yeah.
there. Start with
very
our intensity. Start with our communication. Start with our organization. Then you move on to, you could put a few plays in there. I don't think it's a bad loss. I just don't think. I don't think it's time to panic. You got to get guys back to the team, and you got to get them settled. And the team is just unsettled, and we're suffering.
Like someone said before, that Sydney had majority of their best 22 out there for the whole year, and we're struggling to even keep half our side in. And apparently last year, I saw a stat. Apparently, we've only had 22 something players come in and out of the side since last year or something like that. I probably got that stat wrong. It was from SEN. It's from Nick.
Huh? Say it again.
Apparently, there was a stat on SEN from Nick Negropontis that we had, I'm pretty sure, 16 players from our best 22 come in and out. So since 2023, sorry, the start of 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw a stat on there from SEN, but yeah, that's the issue. Like, we're missing a lot of key players, and obviously it starts with cohesion. Like, you could tell today that certain players, I believe that they can't be in that team for a few weeks. Like, if you're going to lay one tackle, then clearly it's not good enough. Like, the midfield today, like, all week, people said, if we can win the clearance battle, the stoppage game, which is supposedly our best, then we can have a chance. But Sydney killed us in that area throughout the second half. And that aligns with the pressure. And you talk about our defense, it starts with our pressure, and our pressure was not it today. And the leadership was not there today as well. Like, our captain, he wasn't a leader out there today. Like, I didn't see any sort of leadership from him today. And it was just really poor, and I'm expecting a massive response next week, because if they come out like that, like how they did today, next week, like, we can have Sard and all that, but if they had that same mentality and attitude, then forget about if we perform like that. But yeah, the difference will be next week if we lay 55 tackles and 80 tackles, like someone said before. But it's disappointing, and as the competition's getting tighter and tighter, well, we need to obviously get going at some point, because if we want to achieve top 4, then it's not going to help if you're going to be playing like this. Like, obviously certain individuals will help, but again, the season's getting tighter and tighter. It's just very disappointing, because that reminds me of Adelaide last year, and you can't be conceding that much points if you are a contender for premiership. It's just very disappointing, man. Can't.
It's weird, because I reckon after Sydney lost to Richmond, I reckon if there was a Sydney fan cams, a lot of them would have said, "There's no way we're a top 4 team. We just lost to Richmond at the MCG the way they did." Footy's a funny game, and it doesn't make sense all the time. It might look like it makes sense, but let's see what happens at the end of round 24. See where it all falls.
Yeah, and we need to we say that we need to be a consistent team, but that starts with when you have your best 22 out there. And if we're going to keep dropping and changing plays every week, then it's not going to help. So
yeah,
I'm just hoping. But it was good to see Will Hayward out there tonight, scouting him.
He looked good, didn't he?
Yeah, and I also saw Vossi up in the box as well. So that was a bit of a change.
I did notice that in the third quarter he went back up. Was that the first time he's been back in the box?
Yeah, I'm like far out. You know, it's bad when he's going back in the box, but it was just a bit odd seeing him up there.
Yeah, nah, very good. Thanks for calling in, man. Appreciate it.
I'll see you next week.
See you, man. All right, let's power through these. I'm withering away. Josh.
Hey, mate. How you going?
Good, mate.
Yeah. No sugarcoating it. It was pathetic, but there's no sugarcoating that. I think we're in the middle of our form slump. That's what I think it is, and you can probably add injuries into that. Obviously, 14 players out or whatever it is. Then you can blame selection. You can blame a billion different things. I just think we are in a lot probably better. Well, we're in a better position than what we were last year in our form slump. But yeah, I think this is it. Like, this is our form slump. We're halfway through the year now. This is round 10. What do you reckon?
I mean, this is the worst that we've looked all year tonight. It's the worst game of the year. Are we in
Yeah.
the middle of a form slump? I don't know. I think we're definitely in a really hard month of a season. I mean, GWS, Geelong, Collingwood, Melbourne, Sydney, 5 weeks in a row. I mean, that's a pretty tough stretch. They're the best teams in the
Yeah.
comp. 5 of the best teams, if not the 5 best teams. So I think we've just come out of that 2 and 3 from those 5. Not ideal, not the worst.
No.
I think there's still plenty of footy to play.
Oh, mate, like it's still May. September's ages away.
Yeah, I mean,
plenty of time.
I don't think we're ready to draw a conclusion on the season because there's still so much more that can happen. And so I think tonight was awful and poor.
Oh, it was horrible.
And, you know, all the adjectives you want to use, like it was not good, it was terrible.
Mm.
And, you know, they got to respond next week.
Yeah, I think it's as simple as that. We started really well. Like, mate, we were all happy with that start. It was an amazing start.
Yeah.
Did you expect it? Could you sense, like, last year at the prelim, a lot of people sensed that Brisbane were just going to come. Did you sense that with Sydney? I didn't sense that. I was like, I'll keep with them.
I generally, when I watch interstate games, I generally have this rule of thumb in my head. You got to kick the first couple of goals away to get the crowd on your side, particularly us, because we have interstate travellers and we have a nice representation. So I thought when we kicked the first 3, I thought, perfect. I thought Harry getting involved early, perfect. I thought the right people getting their confidence early was good. I didn't think we would evaporate. I don't think anyone thought we'd evaporate the way that we did after we started the way that we did. And then once that happened, got to halftime, I thought, all right, well, we've kind of held on there for a bit. Third quarter, 10 minutes into the third quarter, you're just like, game over, you know?
Yeah, mate, that third quarter turned so ugly so quickly. I actually couldn't believe how bad it got, like, just in the click of the fingers, you know, but...
Yeah.
I don't want to see, like, I know a lot of people have spoken about, we call them fringe players, right? You can't blame anyone. You can't blame Corey Durden. You can't blame Charlie. That was a team loss. None of them came up to that standard. That was a team loss.
What I find interesting about talking about, like, Corey Durden, for example, like, not one person has come on here and said, hang on a minute, Heaney's kicked 3 goals. Warner's kicked 3 goals. Rowbottom's kicked a goal. James Jordan's kicked a goal. Will Hayward's kicked a goal. These are midfielders.
They're midfielders.
Why doesn't the heat go on Cripps, Walsh, Kennedy, Hewitt?
Yeah, right. Well, why don't our? Then we can argue where our midfielders. Why aren't they kicking goals? You know, like, yeah, there's standard across the board from our bottom 6 players all the way to the top. It wasn't good enough. That no one performed to. No one had like an amazing game. Like, we talk about, like, a few weeks ago, Cripps in that loss, he had like 36 touches or some shit. I don't know. No one had an amazing game that we'll talk about. So I think they're just gonna. It obviously helps with maybe Sardi and. Or you got Fogg coming back and Motlop. That's going to help. Actually, do you want to touch Cottrell? Bro, he's a massive loss. Like, we talk about running inside. Oh, tonight, like, especially on that small, shitty ground up there, like, mate, they would have been having great. Like, we need that run. We're missing that run. I don't know who provides that. Like, now that Cotters is out. Like, yeah. Bit flat, mate. Just a bit flat. But we'll pick up and go.
We will pick up in no time. We'll see you next Saturday. You'll be here.
Yeah, mate, of course.
Where else are we going to be?
Nowhere else, mate. Nowhere else. We'll get out of it. I'm confident.
Good on you. Go Blues.
Good night, mate. Go Blues.
See ya. Tyson.
What more can I say that hasn't already been said?
Pretty well covered, hey?
Oh yeah, like I think these things are the only thing that get me through tonight.
Well, they
Freddo's.
Freddo frogs. Oh wow.
Yeah, Freddo's. Yeah, I feel as though we have a problem where we just, it's sort of like we prematurely go, like we just go too hard and fast, and then after first quarter we just die. It's in certain games. It didn't you get a feel as though we were just going too hard too soon?
Not really. I mean, you've got to come out and set the tone early, especially when you play away. I thought we did that really well. I think the first 10, 15 minutes, I don't know how long it went for, I thought it was unreal. It was awesome. Similar to last week. I thought the first quarter was perfect footy. And then, the reality is you've got to do it for 4 quarters. And once Sydney countered our initial punch, we didn't have anything after that, like literally nothing. At no point did we look like putting a dent back in the margin. So just got dominated tonight, mate.
I think our issue is we can do quarters like the first quarter where it's up here, but we can't play a consistent game at this level. We often have to play a consistent game down just a little bit below and manage everyone throughout. And I feel as though, trying to remember the game, but I think the GWS game we were sort of, managing it for a bit, and then we just sort of exploded in that third quarter.
Got to remember now. You got to remember too. We're playing against the best sides in the comp, so you're not going to have it on your terms forever for the 4 quarters.
True, but also GWS are still one of the good sides as well, and we still need to do that. But then you can argue home ground advantage and all that. So it is what it is. Just trying to think of something unique to say. Since a lot of people are on, I guess that's sort of one good thing about being on the back end is, everyone else has said what you're thinking anyway. So
How does how does tonight? What does it do for your confidence as a fan?
Oh, it certainly dents it. That's for sure. Obviously, after GWS got a hold of us at the end of the first, I was like, are we going to hang on, or are we just going to die? And then, obviously we died pretty, I'd say, early in the third. And then sort of near the end of the third, I was like, nah, I can't watch more of this. Otherwise, it's a good thing this chair's bolted down, because otherwise there was going to be a dent in my wall the size of the chair.
Do you think they can turn it around from here?
They can. It's just a question of, are they going to do it?
What's your guess?
My guess is that a lot of them will, but some of them will obviously have their off days and all that. It's just a question of whether or not, guys like Newman and that put in the effort week in and week out. It's just a question of, are they going to lift the rest of them to bring their A game week in and week out?
Yeah, fair. Next week, are you going to be there at the game?
I'm in Perth, mate.
Oh, you're in Perth. That's right. That's right. Yeah. It's hard to keep track where everyone's from.
Yeah. And it also helps them not on regularly as well. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll hopefully see you next week.
Hopefully. No guarantees, but hopefully.
Hopefully. Thanks, Tyson.
Go Blues.
Go Blues. All right. Jake.
Hey, mate. How's it going?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, I'm a self-proclaimed downhill skier when it comes to the fan cams. Usually I listen every week, but I'm usually only jumping on when we win. And tonight was a good reminder why I do that, because, God, I've got frustrated listening to some of the people. But you are a saint. You are a saint putting up with that. And some of the points that you send back are very, very calming. So thank you for that. Yeah, it's just like blokes talking about 1993. It's like, dude, that's got nothing to do with it. Even the Malthouse era has nothing to do with it. Yeah, we got done by the best team in the comp tonight, and I'm not going to blame injuries. Like there were effort indicators that were lacking, but we got done by the best in the comp, and I'd rather get done by the best in the comp in May than get done by the best in the comp in September. Like we've been saying all year that we're going to get challenged at some point, and this is a huge challenge what we've got right here. And frankly, they'll review it during the week and go, "What the hell was that?" They're adults, and they'll go, "That wasn't good enough. We'll improve from here on." I have a lot of faith in that. Last year gave me a lot of faith in the team, seeing that they can respond. And frankly, for so long they've been a team that responds. Even in 2022, for that whole year, it seemed they were responding. They'd lose, and then they'd respond. Then they'd lose, then they'd respond. They're a team that responds, and our response, I think, will be longer lasting this time. We played crap tonight, but it's not the end of the world. We don't need to sack this, that, and the other. We don't need a new captain. We don't need a new coach. We don't need a new what are they called, sports scientist or whatever. We lost tonight. We played bad, but we'll be back.
Yeah, I think just over the 6 years of doing this, I've just kind of learnt to you literally just got to go a week at a time. 2 weeks ago, if you looked 5 weeks ahead, it looked terrible. Last week, if you looked 5 weeks ahead, it looked okay because we played well. Right now, if you think of the next 3 weeks, it looks terrible. If we win next week, it looks a little bit better. Sacking and delisting people can't happen until October, so I don't know why we yell about it, because you're yelling about something that can't happen. I think there's a few things that we can all learn. I think I've just learnt because I've used to do my head in about it, but you cannot recruit, you cannot draft, you cannot sack, you cannot hire anyone until the season's over. So it's why do we put so much energy into things that we can't control? First of all, we can't even control this football team, and we still put out energy. So there's that.
That's right. Yeah. I don't have concerns. It sucked. I didn't enjoy tonight. Yeah. But it is what it is. We'll respond. Gold Coast smashed Geelong by 10 goals or whatever yesterday, but Geelong were missing Jeremy Cameron and Tom Hawkins. It was a different Geelong, and it was up in the Northern Territory where the Gold Coast play traditionally well, where we're playing them at Marvel next week. So we don't need to. I don't think we need to right now. I don't think we need to worry about the Gold Coast. I'm a Perth boy as well. I'll be in Adelaide for the first time ever watching Carlton and Port the week after. My brother's a Port Adelaide supporter. And so we'll meet in the middle. He lives in Melbourne. And yeah, if we lose to Port in Adelaide, I'm also not concerned about that, because they can be a good team as well. I hate tipping them, because when I tip them, they lose, and when I don't tip them, they win. But look, I'll tip Port that week so that they lose.
Take one for the team.
We do what we can to make sure Carlton win, because we have no control over how they perform, and it sucks, but whatever.
Yeah. No. It was a tough night, but we've had plenty of tough nights here on the fan cams, and I think we're going to have more tough nights in the future. So you just kind of learn. You just become you become numb. No, don't become numb. You become battle hardened.
Yep.
Absolutely. This was the worst loss that I've watched application since Gather Round 2023.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what 16. Oh, not 16 months. 14 months. Let's call it 13 months.
It's been a while. That's not to say that tonight is excused. It's just, I actually remember thinking throughout the fourth quarter, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. We haven't had this type of a loss in the fan cams to talk about. So, yeah, it's life, mate.
Yep, we'll bounce back. We'll be all good. Right. We'll play finals. We'll be in the deep end. I'm not concerned.
Yeah. No. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks, mate. Have a good one.
Go Blues. Lewis.
Yeah, that just happened. Wow.
That happened.
What do you want me to say, man? Like, what do you want me to say?
I don't know. What do you want to say?
Well, I wish I could book my trip now. I wish I could go overseas right now and leave, so Carlton can start winning and play consistent football. But I can't. I
When
have
do
to
you
wait
leave?
to June the 10th. I'm leaving soon.
So
I'm
we have
leaving
to
Phoenix.
watch. We have to watch losses until the 10th of June, and then we start winning.
I don't know, man. All right. I want to say first off, fair play to Sydney. I think to me they played incredible. They were cleaner. Their midfield just were incredible. They went, man. They were running. They were communicating, and they were set up around the ground so well. So fair play to them. For me, I just don't care if we had injuries. I really didn't. At the start of the game, I couldn't care because we were up by 27 points up in the first quarter. And then we just slipped down, man. We just slipped up. So many pathetic efforts, and it was just not good enough from us. I mean, Whitman going down, to me, like someone said that Whitman going down just shifted momentum. I was like, yeah, nah, Whitman going down just affected us in defense because without Jacob Whitman, we're vulnerable in defense because we don't have that key tall defender anymore. McGovern is an intercept defender. Kemp is also an intercept defender. He's not that lockdown key defender that doesn't let like that big key forward take marks and kick goals. And when he went down, I was like, oh, we could be in deep strife here. But I thought still in the third quarter, if we got midfield going, there'll be still a chance. But again, our midfield, just to be honest, throughout this whole game, let us down. We lost in the midfield, and that's what cost us the game. And I knew even before going into the game, I knew that if we want to win the game, we had to win the midfield, which we didn't do. So, yeah, I think, yeah. And also, I want to hear your your take on this. Do you think Andrew Russell has his part to blame for the injuries that are coming up, or do you think it just happens to the players? Because everyone has injuries, every club has injuries. I just want to see what your take is with the injuries that keep on coming to the exact same players. Because Jack Markins is getting injured, David Cunningham is getting injured, and then you see Jesse Motlop, who has done 2 to 3 hamstrings, which is really kind of bad for his development. So do you think Andrew Russell has part to blame for it, or do you think it just happens?
No, I think there's a balance of blame between Russell, between the players themselves, the individuals. These are men, these are professionals. Are paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. They have a responsibility to the club to keep themselves in the best shape away from the club. It's hard, but it's hard to know. It's hard to know how do you apportion the blame? How do you know what the players are doing outside of footy? Like when they leave the club, are they eating the same? Are they eating what they should? Are they eating less sugar? Are they drinking less alcohol to help with their recovery? Like, it's a really hard question, but I think everyone is taking a blame. Everyone has to take some sort of the blame. I just don't know what that number of blame is, the percentage of blame is, because you've got your program when you're at the club, and that's headed by Russell. But what happens when you're away from the club? How do you know that these players are doing everything away from the club?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to take your I just want to tell you this right now. I think our selection committee, our midfield was I get it, we were slow, but I think to me we needed more pace. We're missing fast midfielders. We're missing that midfielder. I know we had Sam Welsh. Sam Welsh is that player that can get the clearance and go, but we're also missing a player that can have the outside run. Because look at Sydney. Sydney have Chad Warner. They got Bottom.
They got Heaney. They are a really good Cleveland's team, and the reason why because they run and spread. We don't have that. We're too slow, one-paced midfield. We need a fast legs. That's why I won't mind bringing Jackson Binns in. He's been playing phenomenal in the VFL. He collected last time I saw him play, he collected 42 disposals. Seriously, I watched the game. He's incredible, mate. He gets the ball and goes. He keeps running. He doesn't give up. He keeps on running. He has heart. That's what you want in a player. And so far, Fantasia, Corey Durden, they don't have it, man. I saw Fantasia give up. When Blakey was running, he just said, "Oh no, I'm just going to give up and I'm just going to let him run." Mate, where's the effort? I was like, why is Fantasia letting him run? Seriously, don't let him run. Come on, give effort. And I want to say this as well, because I think to me, I got 3 problems with our game right now, which I think to me needs to be improved on throughout the whole season. Because I think to me it's not over. Like people are saying, some people will say it's cooked. We're cooked. No, we're not over. There's plenty of more rounds to go, and we all know that from last year. But here's the thing: number one, our transitioning game is too stationary. We don't run. We don't run and carry like Sydney did. We don't attack the corridor. Like we used to attack the corridor now, but we keep on going down line. We keep on kicking into a contest and try and get our promising to work. We have to work on our kicking marking game through the midfield, but not only that, we have to make sure we try and get that handball game back, because back then we used to be really good at our handballing game throughout the corridor. Number 2, and this is the second one that I realized that that is a big kind of what's been going on the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks that I've been worried about, and that's stopping momentum. We can't stop momentum. We always allowed 5+ goals to kick on us. Like Collingwood, we allowed that. Melbourne, we allowed that in the last quarter against them. And Sydney, again. Like, we need to stop momentum. When the momentum comes, when they get momentum, we need to shut them down. We need to lock down their game plan. But here's the thing, and this is the other thing the third thing that leads me to this is that we don't have a plan B. Like, when their game is on, we don't adapt to it. Like, good teams adapt to different game plans. Like, if they want to play a transition game, Sydney, in a Cleveland's game, then we can play a transition game as well. Right now, I'm seeing too many times we try to play our game, but we don't adapt to other possibilities of where the game is going to go. Because right now, I'm just seeing us just not stopping momentum when they have momentum, like not letting them put any scoreboard pressure. Don't allow them to put any scoreboard pressure. Yeah. And that's what's really affecting the defenders. Because let's be honest here, the defenders can do whatever thing. Defenders can do everything they can to stop the defending. But let's be honest here, the midfielders need to contribute. Yeah. And I just want to say one more thing before I go. Yep. I am really upset with how the midfielders cannot kick goals. Okay. We have not Kennedy and Welsh are the only 2 midfielders that kick goals today. We need to get midfielders in goal kicking form because our forward line can only kick goals. That's why Sydney was great today, because Chad Warner kicks goals, Walbon kicked the goal, McLean kicked the goal, who was a ruckman, and then you get to see and Heaney from midfield to attack, from forward line to switch to forward line, he kicked goals. Like, we need to start kicking goals from our midfield, which is something that Voss needs to look at. But anyway, we move on. We continue to support our Blues, even though that it's sad that I'm seeing Essendon in the top 4 and Arsenal outside the 8, and seeing now Collingwood got to be in the top 8 as well. But it's just the way it is. We got a long way to go, and just have faith. We just have faith. That's all.
Season's not over. Season's not over with me. We've got plenty of.
I'll see you this week. I'll see you next week, mate. I was going to Carlton to Gold Coast. I'll go.
All right, mate. Take care.
See you, mate.
All right. Lucky last. Toby.
Says how, well, we're all shattered tonight, Matt.
We are shattered.
I can tell you, Matt, I'm feeling much better than I did after the game. I wanted to not come on tonight because I was fearful that I was going to cry. Yeah, I haven't seen a performance like that for a long time, Matt.
Yeah.
And to me, tonight showed that we're just lacking in belief. We're lacking in our confidence is flat. It's when, like, I'm not blaming injuries. All teams get that. Local footy gets that. I've got it in my team at the moment. And it's frustrating when you do, but you can't blame that. We need to look within ourselves and start to go, all right, Carlton, what are we doing well? What are we doing not so well? What can we do to get better as a team? Because Sydney absolutely tore us one tonight. And we just looked.
They sure did.
You know,
they really did. They were everywhere. They were one of the more impressive teams I think I've watched play against us. Seriously.
Oh, sorry, I don't disagree, because that, for me, that's going to be when we look back at the end of the season, and we've got a long way to go. I'm not going to write us off, but if that's going to be a loss that we need to have, you don't want more of those, because if you get more of them, then you start to lose faith in yourself. And you start to go, oh, yeah, I've seen this before. I've been here before. And you start to go, well, hang on. What do the fans want to see? Yeah, we love seeing wins, but every now and then, a loss is going to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But we need to get that balance right, where it's a win, then you might have a loss, but then you got to bounce back with win. If you know what I mean.
It's the back and forth of the season. I mean, we have gone win loss, yeah, back and forth. Yeah, for about a month.
Yep.
So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's painful, but it's.
Can we bounce back next week?
Oh yeah, we can. Absolutely. And Terry, I'll be hopefully ringing you very happy from Adelaide, because it's my birthday on Tuesday.
Oh,
and
yeah?
I'm heading over to Adelaide on Saturday next week. I'm there till Tuesday with my girlfriend. And yeah, I would love to ring in hopefully after win next week and talk to you from Adelaide, Matt.
How old are you turning on Tuesday?
35.
35, mate. Well, please do call in. We would love to speak. So your birthday's on Tuesday.
Yep.
And you'll be in Adelaide up until the weekend as well?
Correct.
Amazing. Well, mate, we'll have to wish you we can wish you a happy birthday now, but we'll wish you a happy birthday after a win next week as well.
That would be awesome, Matt. And I would love to, because Terry, I don't know for you, but I feel like when I've come on recently, I feel like I'm talking better with you, and I don't feel like I'm talking over the top anymore. Like, I feel like it's a good chat for me, because and Terry, I've said this to you before, after my dad died, I feel like I've got not much, like, not most of my friends, but I feel like talking to you makes me feel a lot better, like, for the rest of the week. And it's something that I would like to thank you for, Matt. Because for me, that's kind of like I'm building a lot more friends coming on here. And I feel like it's helped me become the man that I'm now wanting to be. So, yeah, I
Make me
just
cry, mate.
can't say thank you enough, Matt.
We love having you here, and I think from when you first started coming on to now, I think I speak on behalf of everyone in the chat as well. I think the way you've even the way you speak, you're more confident, you've improved, and that's really cool to see. So I knew you'd make us smile, mate. I knew we would end with you for the right reason. So thanks for that.
No props, Matt. It's, and it's, a loss can make you feel sad, but at the end of the day, it's football. We get over it.
Yeah.
We come back. We're happy a week later. At the end of the day, like this time next week, Tez, we'll forget about this. We'll forget about tonight.
We will. We
We'll be
will.
right,
Well,
mate.
there's only one thing that's certain, mate, and that is win or lose, there will always be next week.
Absolutely, Matt.
The game will continue and life will continue. And if we win a premiership, we'll play another game. If we don't win a premiership, we'll play another game. So, yeah, thanks for that great reminder, Toby. Wish you a happy birthday for Tuesday, and we'll see you next week.
You will, Matt. See ya.
Go Blues. Go Blues.
Up the Baggers. See you, Matt.
Toby, mate. It's gonna end like that. That's crazy. Love you, mate. You're a star. There's your fan cams after round 10. A big demolition job at the hands of the Sydney Swans. Yeah. What to take from all of that? I think someone wrote a comment earlier. I mean, the injuries are the injuries, but the players that were there and that are on the field need to have the application, because injuries have nothing to do with how you apply yourself for those who are on the field. So I think that's probably something to take out of it. Why were they flat? Why was there a lack of belief? I guess those are questions that we'll raise over the next week. I really do have a fear that the injury noise seeped into the playing group, and whether that was frustration, whether that was that dented their belief to win the game. I don't, if that played a factor, I don't know. But that team tonight, that didn't have that. They didn't have that, that desire, that resilience to find a way, no matter what. So that's a potential concern. But at the same time, mate, the Swans were elite. So I don't know what the balance is between, how off we were and how good they were. But I guess we'll talk about it over the next few days. 2 hours and 43 minutes. I don't think anyone's as passionate as us. That's the truth. So anyway, I'm not going to play the presser tonight. And the reason is because we got a massive ass strike from YouTube last week. So I might just chill out on the presses. I think the primetime presses especially. But maybe next week when it's a nice 4:35 game, we can do it. So that's that. So thanks to everyone that tuned in. If you have been here from the beginning of the fan cams to now, I don't know what to say. But yeah, these fan cams are, I think, the greatest documentation of the fan sentiment that we have as a club. So thanks to everyone that tunes in, comments, gets angry, gets sad. There's no right or wrong. There just sort of is. I sit a little bit more optimistically on the spectrum. That doesn't mean that my way's right. Everyone has a different way of feeling and experiencing this. So as long as we remember that, I think it's just important that, we don't want to be too much of a hindrance to the players and I would hate for it to seep into the playing group. Some of the sentiments that we do share. I know it comes out of frustration, and I really do get it, and emotions get the better of us sometimes. But yeah, mate, it's plenty of footy to go, and it is just game of football. So anyway, I'm rambling. It's like subconscious talking right now. Thanks again, guys. See you in the review tomorrow. Go Blues.